This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. The immigration minister says they will go after work permit violators. Keith Bell says many working outside the scope of what is allowed. A man shot dead in Flamingo Gardens. And we're talking with the Department of Inland Revenue. That's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Monday, January 16th, 2023. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Pamela Musgrove will be joining us, and that discussion with Inland Revenue will extend into our business hour as well. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while you're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, a man shot and killed in Flamingo Gardens off Carmichael Road. It happened yesterday afternoon, the shooting, just after 3 p.m. in the Flamingo Gardens Park area. Police say the man, who was with two women at the time, was approached by two gunmen who shot him multiple times. When officers arrived on the scene, they met the body in front of a residence. According to reports, police received They got details that the man had been in a car with the women and got out of the vehicle attempting to flee as the assailants approached. Police reported the man was known to police in reference to murder, that's what they said, but he was not being monitored. The man's identity not yet confirmed, the gunman fleeing after the shooting. This is the fifth murder in the country so far this year. The Bahamas ended 2022 with a murder count of 128, a 7.6% increase over the 119 murders reported in 2021. A 22-year-old woman is in the hospital after she was shot by police shortly after 2 a.m. on Sunday. It happened in Grand Bahama. She's from Jonestown, 8 Mile Rock. It was 2 a.m. on Sunday near the Mall Drive in Freeport. Officers attached to Operation Restoration were on routine patrol in the area of a nightclub when they saw a red Nissan Sentra occupied by a man and three women. Police say that the officers approached the vehicle with a firearm and ordered the man to get out of the vehicle. Police say the driver, who was being electronically monitored and out on bail in relation to attempted murder. According to police, the man refused to get out of the vehicle and attempted to knock down one of the officers. Officers opened fire, who drove off at a high rate of speed. It's reported that while attempting to evade, the officer lost control of the vehicle, causing it to overturn on East Sunrise Highway and East Atlantic Drive. Police say the vehicle was extensively damaged and a 27-year-old woman was seriously injured. She was taken to the Rand Memorial Hospital for initial medical assistance and was expected to be airlifted to New Providence. Police say the driver, a 27-year-old of Frobisher Drive, who breached conditions of his bail, escaped, but officers arrested him a short while later at his home. A third woman was taken to the hospital where she was treated and discharged. Immigration Minister Keith Bell warning that the Department of Immigration will crack down on work permit violations as part of its overall strategy to address illegal immigration. Bell said that many people in the country with loved ones in crisis-torn Haiti have been seeking a legal way to get their families out of the country. He says that he's told the Bahamian people that the Department of Immigration receives in excess of 500 applications for permits per week from people trying to get their families out of Haiti. He says a number of family members have been murdered and a number of them have been kidnapped as well. Asked how many applicants have been granted, Bell says that they've not granted any permits to reside and all have been refused. He says the social services, schools, and society is unable to absorb any number of those applicants. And there ought to be an immediate parliamentary inquiry into matters surrounding the collapse of the Bahamas-based cryptocurrency exchange FTX. That's according to opposition leader Michael Pintard. Pintard in a statement yesterday saying that too much is at stake for the country and for the entire government not to move expeditiously to address vexing questions put forth by the country's position. Asked whether he intends to call for a select committee on Parliament, Pintard says that he intends to do just that and will utilize the Public Accounts Committee to request documents that might be related to any dimension of the FTX saga. Disaster Reconstruction Authority Executive Chairman Alex Storr says at least $250,000 worth of missing items that are the property of the DRA were never accounted for. Storr says an audit of the DRA, which the authority expects to have in hand this week, should provide clearer insight into what remains missing. He says it could be higher than $250,000, but once they receive the audit, they'll be able to know for sure. And a 44-year-old prisoner at the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services dying in hospital. This was on Friday. He had complained about chest pains following an altercation. Police say an autopsy will be performed to determine the exact cause of death. Overseas, a spokesperson for Nepal's Civil Aviation Authority says a flight data recorder and a cockpit voice recorder have been retrieved from the site of the crash of a passenger plane that went down on approach to a newly opened airport in the tourist town of Pokhara, killing at least 68 of the 72 people aboard. The dead, many of whom were returning home, include a pharmaceutical marketing agent who was coming to be with his sister as she gave birth, and a minister of a Korean religious group who was traveling to the school he founded. On Monday evening, their time, relatives and friends gathered outside a local hospital, many consoling each other, while some shouted at officials to speed up the post-mortem so they could take the bodies of their loved ones home for burial. It's not clear what caused the crash, which took place less than a minute into the flight. A minute's flight from the plane's destination on a mild day amid calm winds. Nepal Civil Aviation Authority said the aircraft last made contact with the airport from near Seti Gorge at around 10:50 a.m. before crashing. A witness who recorded footage of the plane's descent said it looked like a normal landing until the plane suddenly veered to the left. After it crashed, red flames erupted and the ground shook violently like an earthquake, according to that witness. And the death toll from a weekend Russian missile strike on an apartment in the southeastern Ukrainian city of Dnipro has risen to 37, according to authorities today, as Western analysts identified signs the Kremlin was preparing for a drawn-out war in Ukraine after almost 11 months of fighting. The victims from that apartment building from Saturday's strike on the multi-story residential tower included 2 children, and 15 children are among the 75 injured. The rescue and search operation is ongoing, with 39 people, including 6 children, taken from the ruins so far. About 1,700 people lived in the apartment building. Residents say there were no military facilities at the site. The reported death toll made it the deadliest single attack on civilians since before the summer. The European Union's foreign policy chief calling the strike and others like it, quote, inhumane aggression because it directly targeted civilians. He said in a tweet Sunday there, quote, will be no impunity for these crimes. Asked about the strike Monday, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov saying the Russian military doesn't target residential buildings and suggested the Dnipro building was hit as a result of Ukrainian air defense actions. In sports, Sebastian Walcott, a product of the Junior Baseball League of Nassau, the JBLN, and the International Elite Sports Academy, becoming the latest behemoth to sign with the Major League professional organization. He inked on the dotted line with the Texas Rangers at an upscale session at Safadilla Restaurant on West Bay Street on Sunday. In the coming days, led by Walcott, a quartet of young men are expected to sign with professional baseball clubs, and for the first time, 2 from the Bahamas, listed among the top 20 international prospects in the current class during Major League Baseball's international signing period. Walcott, regarded as a gifted shortstop with elite athleticism, is at number 8, and Gennaro Miller, who's numbered 16, he will sign with the Miami Marlins on Tuesday. Chad Delancey signs with the Boston Red Sox at Fusion Superplex Saturday, and Andrew Arthur will ink his name on the dotted line with St. Louis Cardinals at Fusion as well. That's going to be next week, Sunday. Read more about all of this in today's Guardian Sports section. After losing Kurt Miller, who led them to finals appearances in the WNBA in 2019 and again last season in 2022, one got the feeling that the Connecticut Sun might undergo some major changes ahead of the upcoming season. And now it's being reported by ESPN that Jonquel J.J. Jones is on the move to the New York Liberty in a 3-team trade that was expected to be finalized Sunday night. Up to press time. Not quite official. We'll give you details on that as soon as we can. Jones, the only Bahamian to ever win a MVP award for a major sports organization, is one of the most accomplished and revered athletes in Bahamian history. Read more about this in today's Guardian Sports section. And there were 5 more unofficial Carifta qualifiers for the Bahamas this past weekend, with 2 qualifying at home and 3 abroad, bringing the total number of qualifiers up to 8. Tasha Stubbs and Terrell McCoy qualifying at home, while Olympian McCarthia Cooper and Mateo Smith and Giovanna Valcourt accomplishing the feat abroad. Details again in today's Guardian Sports section. From the NFL Wild Card weekend, wild indeed, the Buffalo Bills blowing a 17-point advantage before recovering to win Sunday. That narrow escape coming less than 24 hours after the Jacksonville Jaguars overcame a 27-point deficit and pulled off one of the most stunning comeback victories in playoff history. No lead is safe, and the drama abounds so far in the NFL playoffs. A loaded Sunday schedule saw the Bills escape with a 34-31 win over the Miami Dolphins. New York Giants upset the Minnesota Vikings 31-24, and the Cincinnati Bengals hang on to beat the Baltimore Ravens 24-17. As wildcard weekend continues, one more game in the round remains. Tonight, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers host Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. All three of the Sunday games were decided in the final minutes. In the nightcap, Sam Hubbard returned Baltimore quarterback Tyler Huntley's fumble, 98 yards for a tie-breaking touchdown in the fourth quarter in a stunning turn of events that led the Bengals to their win. Huntley tried to go over the top of the line for the go-ahead score, but he was stood up by Jermaine Pratt and stripped by fellow linebacker Logan Wilson. And from tennis, Rafael Nadal never truly seemed in danger of becoming the first Australian Open defending men's champion to lose in the first round since his current coach, Carlos Moya, managed to beat Boris Becker a quarter century ago. Still, this was not a vintage performance by Nadal, who came into Monday's matchup against 21-year-old Jack Draper on an 0-2 record in 2023 with 6 losses in his past 7 outings overall. After nearly 2 hours of so-so play, Nadal found himself even at a set apiece. He appeared to be pulling away, taking advantage of his opponent's bout with cramps on an afternoon with temperatures around 85 degrees in Australia, when suddenly Draper went up by a break in the fourth set. From there, though, Nadal would not drop another game, beginning his pursuit of a record-extending 23rd Grand Slam championship with a 7-5, 2-6, 6-4, 6-1 win that took more than 3.5 hours in Rod Laver Arena. Again, the Australian Open underway this week. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. And your weather for today, your first look at weather. We've got a weak pressure pattern coupled with dry, stable, and cool conditions that will continue to dominate weather across the country. Meanwhile, a low pressure system centered well to the northeast of the area will continue to support hazardous marine conditions across the islands. Got some special warnings. Small craft operators should not venture far from port, and beachgoers should stay out of the water due to rough surf and dangerous rip currents. Motorists and pedestrians traveling along coastal roads should exercise caution due to the possibility of overtopping waves. For all areas, expect variably cloudy and mild conditions today, fair and chilly tonight. Again, for boaters, small craft operators should not venture far from port. Winds variable at less than 10 knots, seas 3 feet or less near shore, but up to 6 to 9 feet offshore in northerly swells. Temperatures right now in Nassau, it's about 57 degrees Fahrenheit. We're looking at highs getting up to about 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius today. Overnight lows getting back down to about 57 Fahrenheit, 14 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit. You're listening to Morning Blend. When we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
Is your 2023 goal to move into your own home? Well, future homeowner, enjoy another payday. Build or buy a home with financing from CIBC First Caribbean, and you'll receive cash back every month for 1 year. A home is one of your greatest investments, so secure one soon. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/homeowners payday for more info. Offer valid from January 9 through to March 31, 2023. Terms and conditions apply.
Legacy College Readiness and Tours. Already get the first set of knowledge. Now it's time to prepare you for college. You're thinking so much you gotta do. Legacy will handle that for you.
Looking for a college connection that's thorough, supportive, and proactive? Get on board with Legacy College Readiness and Tours today. My name is Whitley Cargill. I am a student who benefited from Legacy College Readiness and Tours. Erica Morris, the president of Legacy College Readiness and Tours, ensures that you have a great ride through a program. You will receive unprecedented access to college information, college campuses, and college advisement based on where you want to go and what you're looking for. Expand your knowledge and your experience. It's tailored to you. Look forward to Legacy College Readiness and Tours. Get on board today. Contact us at 242-809-5278 or email us at legacycollegetours@gmail.com today.
What if I told you that the future is here? That is not some magical door we walk through, but a place we create. It's home. It's a place where you can download a 2-hour movie in seconds and stay connected to loved ones even when traveling far from home. Where internet moves at lightning speeds, smoother and more reliable than anything you've ever seen. This future-proof technology can take you to worlds that you can only imagine. The future is here. The future is home. The future is Alive Fiber.
Whether your business is in-store, on the go, or both, let Fidelity work with you to maximize your customers' payment options with a fixed or mobile terminal so that you never miss a sale. It's safer than cash and more convenient so that you can take your business anywhere. For details, contact a business development officer today at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport, or visit our website at fidelitygroup.com.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's there. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Pamela Musgrove will be joining us. I want you to give us a call. The phone lines are all up and running finally this morning, so we've got that sorted out, and we'll give you those numbers to call. And let me give them to you right now. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. And we'll let you know when you can call in to join us. This morning, we've got a lot to talk about in the news, but also in our discussion, we were talking with the Department of Inland Revenue. They've been making a lot of headlines recently, especially as they announced that they're going to be cracking down on the folks who are slipping through the cracks, not paying their taxes. And some of the controversial issues they've mentioned, wage garnishment, and going after landlords, and all manner of things. We're going to get into that with them this morning. That's going to go into our business hour as well. So stay tuned for that. But let's begin, though, with what else is in the news. And in the news, the big headline in the Nassau Guardian, Bell, we will go after work permit violators. The minister says that many working outside of the scope of what is allowed. Our Travis Cartwright-Carroll writing about this today. Immigration Minister Keith Bell yesterday warning that the Department of Immigration will crack down on work permit violations as part of its overall strategy to address the illegal immigration problem plaguing the Bahamas. Bell also saying that many people in the Bahamas with loved ones in crisis-torn Haiti have been seeking a legal way to get their families out of the country. Bell saying, quote, I've indicated to the Bahamian people that the Department of Immigration receives in excess of 500 applications for work permits, per week from persons trying to get families out of Haiti. A number of family members have been murdered, a number have been kidnapped, a number of them have been living around violence and threats of violence. So the thing is, this is an international problem. Now, asked how many of the applications have been granted, Bell said, quote, I have not granted any permits to reside and have refused all. Obviously, the social services, our schools, our society is unable to absorb any number of those applicants. It is simply impossible. Now, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force said it apprehended 94 Haitian migrants in the sloop near Ragged Island on Saturday and found 18 Haitian migrants who landed on Inagua last Thursday. Haiti currently engulfed in gang violence, with many gang leaders seeking to expand control. There have been savage murders, kidnappings, and other acts of violence perpetrated in the country. Haiti's last remaining senators, who were democratically elected, left office last week, leaving the country without any elected government official. Bell says that the Department of Immigration is actively pursuing concerns of an increase in illegal migrants and illegal migrant communities in the Family Islands. He said he's seen the outrage by some on social media that new migrant communities are popping up and the apparent lack of enforcement of immigration laws. He said, quote, when we look at our Family Islands, there are a number of matters being addressed, and for obvious reasons, I will not indicate what they are to the media at this stage, but only to let the Bahamian people know that we are aware and have taken note of what I've seen on social media. The matters are being actively pursued. Now, this all comes after what we discussed on Friday. North Eleuthera MP Sylvanus Petty and Harbor Island Chief Counselor Terrence Davis telling the Nassau Guardian last week that residents on that island, Harbor Island, are increasingly worried about a worsening illegal migrant problem. Bell said the Department of Immigration found that many of the new faces that residents are seeing on the islands seem to be work permit holders who are violating the scope of their permit. He said, quote, we did run an operation down there, and what we found in all of these islands is that a number of Bahamians who have persons here, particularly those from Haiti on work permit, they're working outside the scope of their work permit. For instance, work permits that were issued for persons who ought to be working in New Providence, we found that a number of persons are throughout those Family Islands, which is a violation. I have a meeting in the morning with the director and executives of immigration, and what I propose to do is where persons are found in those islands, they will be taken into custody and their work permits will be revoked. Any irregular migrants who are found in those areas will be taken into custody and prosecuted. But let me take it further. I think we have to begin now to aggressively begin to pursue Bahamians who have these persons and knowing that they are working outside the scope of what the permit granted. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. Let me stop right there. So they're only now going to begin to aggressively pursue the Bahamians who okay. All right, well, that explains a whole heck of a lot. Well, let's continue. Bell also said the issue of shantytown communities is being investigated. He said, quote, I would indicate that those matters are actively being pursued. I've given a directive, and I am waiting to get feedback with respect to what we've found so far. Abaco shantytown structures have grown significantly in the years since Hurricane Dorian destroyed large shantytowns on the island. One community in Treasure Key, known as The Farm, grew from about 50 acres to apparently 200 acres, according to officials. In a video that was circulated last week, an Abaco resident filmed men clearing a forest area and building foundations for what he claimed was another illegal community in the back of Dundas Town. Bell said the situation is problematic. Well, okay. Indeed. Let's get your reaction to all of this. A lot said there. A lot of, I don't know what. I mean, I think we mentioned this last week, the fact that the folks were saying there was an operation, but it netted few results. That's indicated to me, which I've said on the air, likely those folks actually had work permits. But as you're hearing, these are new faces because they have work permits to work in other places and aren't supposed to be in Harbor Island, which Bell says has been happening quite a bit. People get work permits for folks for New Providence. Next thing you know, they're all over the country, a violation. But he wants to go after the Bahamians. Okay, let's talk about it. What do you think of this? And, I mean, is that rocket science? We did know that, right? That the employer is the key, whoever is the person who's hiring these folks. This is why there continues to be a market, because people are spreading the word, well, you can get a job. They like the foreigners to come in, and so come here and come and see what they could do for you. Right? Clearly, that's the message that's being sent all around the world. What are we going to do about it? 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. And every time we have these conversations, people are secretly messaging. They don't want to call in, but they're messaging us to say, well, you know what? Bahamians are hard to work with. They're very difficult. They never come on time. They never do this. They never do that. They have bad attitudes. They show up drunk. They show up late. Right. And so this is why. There's always that. So are we just duplicitous, just talking out of all sides of our mouths and really just making these situations worse because, well, this is going to benefit me, as usual. And making noise for the sake of making noise, knowing fully well that we are creating this situation? Is that what's going on? Let's hear what you have to say. Text us 422-4796 and call in 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. All right, so that's happening, and while that's going on, we've got crime as usual. Another man killed, this time in Flamingo Gardens off Carmichael Road. Police say the man was with two women and was approached by gunmen who shot him. According to reports, the man had been in the car with the two women. He got out of the vehicle as he saw the assailants approaching. The man, who was known to police in reference to murder, but was not being monitored. So he's suspected of murder, but he wasn't arrested or out on bail or being monitored. Or was he out on bail but not being monitored, which is very interesting. Which one? Anyway. Okay. So he was there, and then he got shot, and then he's dead now. Yep. And the same foolishness happening in Grand Bahama. A 22-year-old woman from 8 Mile Rock in the hospital after she was shot by police shortly after 2 a.m. Sunday. Officers attached to Operation Restoration on routine patrol when they observed a car with a man and two women. Police said the officers approached the vehicle and ordered the man out of the vehicle. He's being electronically monitored. He's out on bail for attempted murder. Yes, of course. According to police, he refused to get out of the vehicle because, he runs the streets and attempted to knock down the officers. They were in fear for their lives and shot at the vehicle. And the driver drove off, lost control of the vehicle at some point. The car turned over. So one woman was shot, another one was injured, the other one treated and discharged. But here we go. All right. Let's talk about it. Let's hear what you have to say. All of these issues going on. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Bahamas.
Hi, good morning.
I would like to hear from the immigration minister as to what plan we have to combat this continuous flow of illegal migration, in particular from Haiti. because I don't see a strategic plan in place. Nothing is being done. We've been talking about having a base in Inagua for the past 20 years that would have helped us tremendously, and we could have gotten the kind of assistance that we needed from the United States government in our effort to stop this flow. Because based on the present condition, this is going to be a continuous thing.
Mm-hmm.
The United States already said that they could take out 30,000 Haitian, Cuban, and other nationals, and we will be a transit point for them to get there, because 9 or 10 chances they don't have any means to get to the United States directly, so our islands will be used as a facilitator. So I want to know from the minister, what is the government plan to deal with this situation? Because it's more than vexing, it's costly, and it's a further drain on our economy at a time when we least can expect it. Because we have a global recession going on, so the cost of doing business is substantially higher. So we need to know from the minister, what is the government plan to combat illegal migration? They've done some repatriation recently, maybe in excess of 100 and something people, but that's a joke. They had over 400 at the detention center. We've got to get serious as to what we're going to do to secure our borders and deal with this situation head on.
Okay, so you mentioned the base. You want a beefed up base at Inagua, but what else do you want to hear? What type of things would you want to hear from him?
Yeah, I want to hear from the minister what plan we have in place to stop. You see, unless you can stop or minimize that flow, you're going to continue to be grappling with this situation. We got to be able to cut the flow off, whatever it costs to do that. Just get a joint venture between the Bahamas and the U.S. government. Find a way to make it happen.
We have
That's
it already.
what I'm saying. We got to do it. We have limited resources, but if we work and partner with the United States government, we got a representative there. Hopefully we'll have an ambassador fully in place by the end of this year. Let's do what we have to do as a country. We are 50 years later. We're battling a problem that's been existing from the 30s, and we have gone further away. The last time we had any control over the situation was way back in 1987. Ever since then, when Mr. Roca left office, ever since then, everything has been free ride for everybody. Just comes in, no one account. Then we have people in the different offices that facilitate this behavior because of politics again on both sides. So we got to get serious as to what it is that we want for the Bahamas. This matter has to be addressed, must be addressed. It is critical at this time. Apart from crime, this is critical.
Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I don't know if it was under control in 87, but there was a lot of talk. Yes, absolutely. I hear you. It's like the gun issue, right? There's a lot of demand. There's a lot of demand, and as long as there's demand, the guns keep coming, right? And the same thing with the migrants, because they can find work and can very easily find a place to live. We are just talking about these things, right? Just now saying they're going to go after the employers who facilitate this. Come on, are you serious? This was the issue all along, right? And the fact that you could easily get a home wherever you wanted, apparently. All those things, if you make that so easy, again, you haven't ever seen, I know you haven't, a migrant begging you for money on the street. They're asking you for work. They ask if you need anything done, but not begging you outright for money, because they work and they're hired. And again, we get the excuses about how the Bahamians are horrible and that's why we like to hire them. So we're double talkers. So, yeah, I mean, obviously the minister doesn't have a plan. We know which minister has. We haven't heard anything. It's going to capture, repatriate, that's the plan. That's the plan. They do have the operations with the U.S. all the time. The Coast Guard and the Defense Force are apprehending in the waters. It's happening. But obviously, the word out there is there are jobs. There are jobs in the Bahamas. Come. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. This text here, I know your conversation this morning is in reference to illegals on the Family Islands, but I traverse Cowpen Road daily, and it's alarming the number of workers seen in recent weeks waiting on their ride to work. Something must be done. Well, according to the minister, many of these people have work permits. Or you think they don't? Well, let's say they do. Then what? What does that mean? What's really happening here? And again, if you go in certain neighborhoods, other neighborhoods, you'll see a bunch of Bahamians just sitting around as well. They're not waiting for their ride. They're waiting for, I don't know what. But all day long. So what's going on? You've got schools offering you free tuition. Come and learn a skill. Anybody taking it up? Well, are enough people? They're begging. But hey, good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Dwight.
Hi.
Yeah, Dwight. Sorry, I wanted to say, first of all, let me just give kudos to those men inside Andros, right, for standing up for their rights of employment, right? Because I believe if we don't take the attitude that those guys took inside Andros, right, we're going to really be in a very bad place. Because I hear you saying, what if those people had, all of them have work permit, right?
Yeah.
But what if all of them don't have work permit? What do that mean, right? I don't know if you ever caught a 6-lane bus at the bus I just catch, right? And if you come in the Carmichael or going out of Carmichael, the bus always overfilled with Haitian nationals. Now, nobody could determine if they legal or illegal, right? But there's no time I go on a bus that the Bahamian people are there in the majority today, because we are obviously having an influx of Haitian nationals, right? Who looking for assistance, and ain't nothing wrong with that, right? But our leaders have to know that, look, hey, we have to put this at a minimum, because you can't have illegals or even people with work permits all over your country, right? That ain't a good look for us as Bahamians. That is not a good look, because why are we prepared to just sell out our nation, right, and not try to put measures or mechanisms in place to encourage and to motivate our citizenry to look, to do better, right? Because the cost of living is so high for a Bahamian, you can never compare them with the cost of living of an illegal immigrant, and ain't nobody want to address that, right? See, what the Bahamian have to pay to live inside this land? Some of them just decide, like, before I go work for that $2 for 6 days, it's cheap I go out there and hustle for 4 days, right? But when the legal immigrants come to the Bahamas, that's a different caliber of people, right? They are prepared to work for anything and live anywhere. So we can't keep titting and tatting these people against the illegals against the Bahamians, because they two different category of people, and it can take our leaders them to understand that we need proper policies inside this country or laws in order to put this at a minimum. Bahamian, we need people in this country.
All right, tell me your top 3 things you would do right now to get a handle on this situation.
All right. The first thing I would do, right? I would ensure that the people who do have a work permit, that they are working in the capacity that they got the work permit, right? That's the first thing I would do, right? The second thing I would do, right, is try to determine how much illegals or foreign nationals, don't care where they are from, in this con, right?
How would you do that?
Well, the only way we could do that, right, or I assume that we can do that, is through the work permit or the records of people coming into the country. I don't know if that's even possible, right?
Well, we'll see. We'll see if the census picks up on anything when the results come out. But yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I would after that, then I would find a way through legislation to encourage Bahamian young men don't care what it is they have to do. We have to literally go to these people and try to get them right. Well, see, the pay is really what is really the problem in the Bahamas, and I can guarantee you, if the pay was satisfactory for any Bahamian, see, I know fellas them with this white Dwight, and they working 7 days a week, and you know why? Because the pay good, right? So there's nobody running from a good pay in this country. Absolutely nobody is running from. We could talk with those fellas on the side of the road, but guess what? If they was getting a good pay, none of them was going to be on the side of the road, Dwight. Think about that.
Wow. Okay. All right. I hear you.
Have a nice day, bro.
Thanks a lot. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Yeah, so what do you recommend? What are you going to do? And these businesses, when you find out, right, they have a work permit for somebody who's supposed to be in New Providence, that person's all the way in some other family island, what do we do? What should we do with that business owner? What do you suggest? Caller, do you have any suggestions? Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well.
All right. I listen to your talk show all the time. I just wanted to say, a lot of people under the impression now that we got first will start us with 100,000 people. Then we got to understand that we need the population to make sense. We just got to learn to manage it as a country.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people understand that.
No, a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
I mean, you might understand it, and there's a few people that might understand it, but a lot of people just try and think in their head there's only a couple of us, we can make the best if we can make it. But no, you have to have a population in order to get the first world started.
No, so what does that mean? Should you just allow anybody and everybody in, or you said it, manage it properly? How do you do that?
Well, this is what I'm saying now. It ain't about letting everybody in and all this kind of stuff. It's about understanding you need the people here, learning how to manage it properly in comparison to just letting everybody in and let them do what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of Bahamians does not want to deal with foreigners per se, but we like to have the opportunity to say, okay, we have all these people to get all the stuff going on when it comes to monies, when it comes to when it comes to.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so what do we do here? So as we said, we've got a lot of folks here working, but a lot of Bahamians who are sitting around not doing anything. And the previous caller mentioned something very interesting about how the cost of living so high that you just aren't willing to take those low-paying jobs, and you wait until something better comes along, which may take a very long time. But what do we do? What do we do in the meantime when you see all these folks sitting around under the tree playing dominoes in the middle of the day every day, and you can see that bus filled with migrants who are gainfully employed? What do we do in a situation like that?
The problem that we have is it isn't that the Bahamians we don't want to work. The problem is we taught, or we were taught, not to want those jobs. We were made to understand that those jobs aren't worth having. What happened is, education is the key. We just was taught. I'm a young man, and I was taught from early age that, hey, you shouldn't be doing these demeaning jobs. But these demeaning jobs are what keep the country going, and that's the biggest problem right now.
Yeah. Well, it's a tricky one, a tricky situation, eh? But you're right. We got to build a nation. We need at least 1 million people to really, really start seeing some.
Exactly.
Some
I know you know.
change.
I'm not going to say that you don't know, but unfortunately, that as a nation we do not understand that. And if we're not going to do the remaining jobs, if we're not going to do the 1 million jobs, we can't be expected to reap the benefits of having 1 million jobs.
Boy. Okay. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And hopefully people get that doesn't mean 900,000 of those people need to be on the Providence. I hope we get that too. But hey, let's take another call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, sir. Good morning to all.
Hi.
You know, a lot of people that selling this first world status to as an excuse to grow the population. You know, let's look at Bermuda. What do you say with Bermuda? Bermuda needs to be a first world country. And what is a first world country? You understand me? Why do they want to be a first world country? It's important that everybody can survive in a country. That's not being a first world country. You know, and you know that there's a situation right now in the UK where they're discussing a universal minimum wage, not basic income, minimum wage. Well, you know, and we're what you call it, things that like subsidies, welfare subsidies, they're not even working. You see, and then issue about what you call it, inventions, right? And new age things like what you call it, automotive masons and the like. They're gonna be taking away jobs. So and you understand me? It's not like you invent something and you just wonder and the like, and jobs are not gonna be lost. And people, you know, and then it's gonna be the universal income. These things are gonna have to happen. So we just need to pay people. We need a income that's gonna work for everybody, not just some people. We got to get to it. You know, it ain't about growing the economy. It's about taking care of each other, man, and do right by each other. Thank you, man.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's take another call. Good morning. You are on the air. Good morning.
Brother Dwight, how are you?
Doing well.
It's good. Your discussion this morning.
Sorry?
Your discussion this morning, it's on the labor force, right?
Yeah, work permit violators and this situation we have with migrants.
Okay. We also had a homicide this weekend down at Flamingo, right? Did we?
Yes.
Brother Dwight, as I did last year, this all stems from the erosion of the family structure. That's where we need the plan. We need to have a conversation from social service, the way forward on the family. Okay, let's use labor. Back in the days, our forefathers may not have been academically inclined, but society at that time, at those days, see to it that one must learn a trade. When you have a trade, there's a demand that you can demand for your price in terms of work. There's a portion in the Bible, Proverbs 18 and 16 said, your gift will make room for you. And then one is structured with a trade, and this has come from the family. In any which way your gift and talent find you, you will demand your pay. But you cannot sit under the tree, under the wall, play and complain and not find, Dr. Miles Monroe, your purpose in life. I am of the belief that when you find your purpose in life, your gift will make room for you. Buddy Hill is a prime example. Start shooting hoops on the pole. He was spotted. Look where is Buddy Hill today. Going back to the family structure again, the erosion. I say to my minister, there must be a discussion in this whole Bahamas as to what's going on with our local Bahamian, the traditional family. I read in the paper on Wednesday where a 35-year-old female being charged for child cruelty with 6 children. The question I would ask Dwight, please, who failed a 35-year-old woman with 6 children? That's the question.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
When she is being arrested or locked up, these children, who's gonna intervene? It's still gonna be the state, eh?
Okay, but what do you mean by who failed? Who failed her?
That should be the question. The family structure failed her. The family structure failed her. Not this is right here. The family structure failed this lady with at age 35 with 6 children. And now we have the foreigners, the illegal foreigners coming in and they're doing the same thing. Dwight, so where is the conversation? Where is the plan to educate these people? That should be the question. The contribution the young man made a moment ago, I really support his contribution. But let me tell you something. Dwight, you may not believe me. Dwight, you were in the cycle. Sometimes you assault me. I don't take this. I don't take that. I just let that go over my head.
You keep saying assault. You don't say assault.
When I mean hang up on me and not hear my view.
Well.
But Dwight, we talk about racism many years ago, and I don't support racism. I don't believe in it. I know it's a part of our slaves. I know I don't. I'm glad I was in the wrong, but still. But Dwight, one of the crises we have in this country, have this country divided, is classism. Are you there?
I'm listening.
Classism is the monster that have Bahamian people divided, and it comes through politics. Politics has become our first religion rather than having a plan to deal with the family are fighting in the home.
Okay, so let's go back. I want to go back to the matter you brought up. The woman who's charged with abusing. She left her children. She left her children home alone, and some of them were very young. Okay, so now explain yourself. The family structure. I mean, so is she not to take any personal responsibility for this, for her situation, for deciding to have at that young age that many children with apparently no other person in her life? She's not to take any personal responsibility for this perhaps failure, unnecessarily difficult situation that she's in?
We agree that she ought to take personal responsibility, because I know when my girls was going to school and at a home here, they knew about family life at age 10. You know that. She is only 35. My baby is that age. My baby know about family lives at that age. She went to both of my children went to Aquinas College. We had books here. And we taught them, they knew about family lives. Yes, that's personal responsibility. But also, parenting, the structure of the home, these discussions must be you must have these discussions, especially with girls, in terms of the social disorder that this country has.
Especially with girls. Okay.
Especially the girls.
What about, especially, but not only.
Well, I have only girls.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I shouldn't say it like that, but I have girls. But I now have 3 grand boys. And I tell my grand boy, I just had a discussion with him the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I am too young to have great grand. I am too young, and he's a man.
Yeah. I
am too young to have great grand. I am dealing with you all, grants.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you. We have to do more. We know about this. We have a crisis in the family. We know that.
We have to have a conversation, and I don't care how much people call and complain and call me this and that. We have a discussion as to what's going on in this country with the traditional family structure.
Mm-hmm.
The 35-year-old have 6 children being charged for child cruelty. Yeah. Something is wrong with that.
Well,
and the illegal immigrants is coming in. Listen to me.
I don't know
I have people from the south and say they have 5 family here.
Mm-hmm.
5 family. I said, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about having 5 family and they're having children more than the Bahamians?
Okay.
Have a wonderful morning.
Thanks a lot. It's unusual to mix the 2 issues together, but there we have it. But I can guarantee you nobody forced her into that situation at all. And so everybody, men, women, everybody needs to be more sensible with their choices. Right? Everybody. It's not helping. We do need to do something more. I don't know if you're suggesting that the government needs to get involved and get into your private business, into your families, and make decisions for you, and what limits on, I don't know. What are you suggesting? But anyway, okay. But we know we have a crisis. We absolutely do, and it is all related. Maybe it's related to the fact that some people aren't expressing to their children, especially the importance of, as you mentioned, the trade and the job and the career, and and so that instead of expecting someone to do for you, in that regard, okay, well then maybe it is related. Maybe I can see it now. 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us 422-4796. Let's get through some of these messages before we take a break here. Someone says here, me and my friends were discussing this very issue last night. Arrest, charge, and fine the people who house them. Demolish the illegal structures. Arrest and deport the undocumented folks. Simple. Yet they form another committee again, I guess. But double the fines for the people who hire illegals. All right. This text here, when I was younger, I used to hear about job sectors only Bahamians could work in. The simple solution is to raid places reported to be breaching this and prosecute the people hiring them. This should be done in tandem with prosecuting people hiring permit holders that cannot verify that they are legally housed. 1 week of sweeps in Nassau and jail, and the treasury will be full, and the message will be sent to all the islands. That part there, this is a very key point. Provide proof of housing. Provide proof of housing if you do have a work permit, or anyone requesting a work permit needs to show that they are providing housing. They do it for the executives, right? They provide housing and send your kids to school. If you're at the top level, then you should provide housing at least for the low levels too. Why not? And if that's too much to ask, well, then you don't need a work permit, right? But anyway, this person says here, the government must look into banning all sea entries to this country from Haiti until the immigration issue is quelled. Only accommodate air travel. That's very funny. I mean, okay. Do you think what would that do? I don't understand. I don't know, but I have never heard of anybody legally coming to the Bahamas from Haiti on a ship. Maybe it happens, but I mean, that doesn't... Anyway, okay, I'm sure it probably... No. Okay, but I hear you. Anyway, the lowest common denominator is work ethic. Bahamians have none. Whoa. I could write volumes on Bahamians not willing to give an honest day's work for their pay. See, there we go. I told you that was going to come. This one here says, I needed some work done in my yard. A Bahamian company charged me $1,100. A Haitian charged me $300. What am I supposed to do? This problem is never going to end, Bahamas. Never, ever, 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 ever. Do you see this? You see the messages? And the texting, they only will text. They won't call. The people calling are outraged. But the people texting present a different reality. And it's about bottom line and about the cost of living. It's too expensive often to deal with Bahamians. And so people have to find another way. You see, this is the same issue with the car parts. Same issue. Nobody wants to go to the dealer or to the official company because this is outrageous. But my boy has some stuff in his trunk. Where did they come from? Well, I don't care. I'm saving $500. Another text here. We need to conduct a true census. In the census they conduct, the people hold responsibility for conducting it. Say they don't ask if you are illegal during conducting the census. Another one here. We cannot continue to allow a country of millions to pour into a country of less than 500,000. There is obvious corruption in the issuing of work permits. Our work ethics cannot be the premise to allow the situation to continue unaddressed, period. We're being systemically replaced in our country with their ability to outbreed us now. Wow. Oh, boy. Okay. That's some serious language there. This one here is a long one. There is a major problem with demand and supply. First, amend the housing laws to discourage present conditions. Number 2, enforce immigration or labor laws and increase the cost of work permits. Number 3, increase immigration enforcement, even if it means increased involvement of U.S. Coast Guard. And 4, prosecute the businesses and business owners who skirt immigration and labor laws. Wow. And one more before we take a break. That's a good text, though. And this person says here, I'm always confused by the erosion of family structure. Caller. Now, a trade. I don't have a trade, but I'm a qualified accountant. He never gives the how after the discussion what happens. We pass a law like in the Bible days. If you ain't married, you can't have a child. Come on, man. Yeah, well, I'm sometimes confused myself. Another one here. Maybe she failed herself. This is about the woman he talked about. In his scenario, there are actually many women who have tons of kids and are in a situation of poverty. We need accountability in this country. We always blame the government, blame the family structure. Wait, but we never want to get up and make opportunities for ourselves. Sometimes women have these kids with multiple men hoping for a way out. And this text here, how long would it take using data on the Bahamas population growth before the Bahamian citizen becomes the minority in the Bahamas? And this text, whose problem is it if the 35-year-old did not go to family planning, which is free, and I bet those kids' fathers are not taking care of their kids. This one says here, ask yourself why certain countries like Cuba or Jamaica don't have a Haitian problem. Now, how do you know they don't? How do you know they don't? Maybe not Cuba, but how do you know? Are you sure? You really paying attention? Are you sure? Anyway, this one says here, why is the Prime Minister so quiet on the illegal migrant issue? Again, are you sure? Anyway, okay. The PLP is losing that emotional voter base created by the Pinley administration. Their primary concern is power at all costs, and that is why they are trying to create a new voter base with, now you need to stop. This is ridiculous. That's crazy. Okay. Anyway, let's take a break here. We'll pick this up on the other side. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Lucky girl, she got married to a boy like you.
She'd kick you out if she ever knew about all the you tell me that you do. Dirty, dirty boy. You know everyone is talking on the scene. I hear them whispering about the places that you've been and how you don't know how to keep your business clean. Mommy, don't go, daddy's getting hot at the body shop, doing something unholy. He sat back while she's dropping it. She be popping it, yeah, she put it down slowly. Oh, we go. He left his kids at home. We go, so he can get that. Mommy, don't go, daddy's getting hot at the body shop, doing something unholy.
Daddy, if you wanna drop the attic, give me love, give me Fendi, my Balenciaga, daddy. You gonna need to bag it up, 'cause I'm spending on Rodeo. You can wish me back it up, I'll be gone in the AM. And he got me Prada, got me Miu Miu like Rihanna. He always call me 'cause I never cause no drama. And when you want it, baby, I know I got you covered. And when you need it, baby, just jump under the covers.
Mommy, don't go, daddy's getting hot at the body shop, doing something unholy. He sat back while she's dropping it. She be popping it, yeah, she put it down slowly. Oh, we go. He left his kids at home. We go, so he can get that. Mommy, don't go, daddy's getting hot at the body shop, doing something unholy. Lucky girl, she got married to a boy like you. She'd kick you out if she ever knew about all the you tell me that you do.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
It is time for your first look at traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. RBC's mortgage specialist can provide helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. In your real-time traffic this morning, Milo Butler Highway, as usual, your hot spot, heavy traffic from Fire Trail all the way up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway. That's the northbound lanes there. Glass Road looking a little bit better for you, but still heavy traffic about midway between Fire Trail and the roundabout with JFK Drive. Carmichael, seeing some building traffic eastbound to Blue Hill Road, and Blue Hill looking congested in spots, especially near St. Vincent. Carmichael, and north of Soldier Road on the way to the roundabout with Independence Drive. Building traffic westbound on Independence Drive to that roundabout, Blue Hill Road. East Street between Soldier Road and the roundabout with East-West Highway and Independence Drive. Northbound traffic there is busy. And once you get north of that roundabout, the intersection with Robinson Road also looking busy, northbound and westbound on Robinson. Elsewhere, we've got Bernard Road, seeing some heavy traffic near the schools in the area, especially westbound, and pockets along Prince Charles Drive, and some building traffic on Eastern Road. Those are the hot spots for now. We'll have another update for you after the 8 o'clock news. Your first look at traffic brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist. And time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by the Chickcharney Challenge. We've got a weak pressure pattern coupled with dry, stable, and cool conditions that will continue to dominate weather across the country today. Meanwhile, a low pressure system centered well to the northeast of the islands will continue to support hazardous marine conditions across the country. Small craft operators should not venture far from port. Beachgoers should stay out of the water, expecting rough surf and dangerous rip currents. And motorists and pedestrians along coastal roads should exercise caution as there could be overtopping waves. For today, a forecast calls for variably cloudy and mild conditions. Turning fair and chilly tonight. Again, small craft operators should not venture far from port. Temperatures today getting up to around 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 57 Fahrenheit, 14 Celsius. We're at about 61 right now under partly cloudy skies. In your extended outlook, a quiet but cool weather pattern along with hazardous marine conditions will likely continue at least until midweek. So for tomorrow, we are expecting mostly fair and mild conditions. And for Wednesday, partly cloudy and mild. That's your morning blend weather check, brought to you by the Chickcharney Challenge. It's time again to claw through mud, wade through water, climb a rope, and vault the 9-foot wall in the Chickcharney Challenge. January 28th at the Clifton Heritage Park. Sign up today at chickcharneychirin.com.
Whether you're looking for your first or new home, or even using your existing home as equity, RBC understands that your journey to home ownership is unique, and your mortgage financing should reflect that. That is why at RBC we have dedicated mortgage specialists that provide sound advice and helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. Best of all, the RBC mortgage team is mobile, flexible, and will meet you almost anywhere. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Ready to save? You can put $100 into the CFAL Savings Express Plan and make sure your money keeps growing. Earn interest on your savings while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
Is your 2023 goal to move into your own home? Well, future homeowner, enjoy another payday. Build or buy a home with financing from CIBC First Caribbean, and you'll receive cash back every month for 1 year. A home is one of your greatest investments, so secure one soon. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/homeowners payday for more info. Offer valid from January 9 through to March 31, 2023. Terms and conditions apply.
The new Guardian Radio app is here. Listen live to all our Guardian Radio shows and live video stream select programs in our studio. Get information about Guardian Radio shows and our hosts. Send messages, including text, email, and even call. All from our amazing new Guardian Radio app. Download it free today in your App Store for your Apple device or Play Store for your Android device. The all-new and improved Guardian Radio app.
Always on the go? Missed the show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the podcast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Florida Auto Parts can deliver all the auto parts your car will ever need, direct from the USA and from around the world. Florida Auto Parts provides fast delivery on auto parts, and we ship throughout the Bahamas, genuine or aftermarket, new or used, and all for the best price. Call Florida Auto Parts Trusted Parts Rep on WhatsApp at 1-786-772-8777 to save on your next auto parts purchase. Florida Auto Parts, the right parts at the right price.
With so much going on in the world today, only accepting cash at your business can be risky. Let Fidelity offer you and your customers safety, convenience, and the flexibility of a fixed or mobile terminal. Take it with you, on the move and on the go, because business should never stop. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit us at any of our branches.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
I have this thing where I get older, but just never wiser. Midnights become my afternoons. When my depression works the graveyard shift, all of the people I've ghosted stand there in the room. I should not be left to my own devices. They come with prices and vices. I end up in crisis. All this time, I wake up screaming from dreaming. One day I'll watch as you're leaving, 'cause you got tired of my scheming. For the last time, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. At tea time, everybody agrees. I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting, always rooting for the anti-hero.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. Pamela Musgrove joining us now. Good morning, Pam. Great to have you with us.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Bahamas.
Good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Good to be here. Well, thank you.
So you've been hearing the conversation. We've been talking about the work permit issue and work permit violators. You brought up, we're going to get some details about this, and I don't know, I'm hearing about this more often. What does that mean? Is it semantics? Is it a permit to reside? Is that, what is that? Does that mean that if you have that, does that mean you can work? Is that enough? Is that the same as permanent residency? Maybe not permanent residency, but temporary residency, which means that if you have a permit to reside, you should be able to work, right?
I don't know. I always wanted to find out because I saw this. I saw an actual work to permit to reside,
right?
And I wondered about it. I'm like, why? And it has an expiry date.
So the temporary work,
so
temporary
permit to reside.
Residency.
And then I'm reading the article where the minister is saying that he has received in excess of 500 applications for family members who live in Haiti, family members of persons who are legally in the Bahamas, and they live overseas to come into the country. Mm-hmm. And then he went on to say, when was asked how many has he granted, and then Bell said, I have not granted any permits to reside and have refused all. And I thought to myself, okay, so permits to reside are for probably persons who are the family members of persons who are in the country legally, They give them a permit, a temporary order. And the thing why it was confusing to me, because the person that was holding the permit to reside was asking for a job. They wanted something to do.
Yeah. So I was
And
asking
I was
you
confused
about the
about-
age of that person. And you said they're about
40, 41.
So that's relatively young. And so you would hope that they'd be working as opposed to a burden on the state, a burden on
But the question
somebody.
is, does a permit to reside allow you to work in the country? I don't know. I don't think. I mean, why give a permit to reside and you're allowed to work as opposed to giving a work permit? They're two
But I
separate
think you
permits.
meant something very important. We need to get immigration in here to have a full conversation.
But you know what I think?
But you mentioned it. Like, so you are related to somebody who does have a work permit. So let's say somebody comes
who's here legally.
Right, legally.
Mhm.
You come here and you have a wife, right? Or children. They need to have a permit to reside.
Right.
And so it would be temporary.
But you see how this immigration problem can be of concern and can spiral out of control. And I think what is lacking with immigration is transparency. It's so, and it's across administration. It's so secretive. You know, I could go and read in the United Kingdom their net immigration number, the persons that came in, the persons that left. But with us, it's so secretive.
Right.
You said the minister said he has not granted any. And that's because he chose not.
But then, see, he meant, I suspect, in regards to the folks who have relatives in Haiti. Doesn't mean that he's never granted any.
Yeah, but no, as it relates to this, he said he has not granted any permits to reside. It just seems so personal. What is the policy behind permits to reside? What is the policy? Like how do you determine? I think it's left up to the individual in the office as opposed to a policy across the board that people can follow and you can track it and there's transparency with it.
Right.
It's too secretive because he said he hasn't up to this point. He can tomorrow. What's the basis of it?
Well, again, I'm sure he has, but not in this regard.
No, he hasn't.
Right.
But then what's this? Why hasn't he done any? Is it because he doesn't feel it's right for him to do it because of the turmoil and because of the situations in Haiti, the country that we're discussing now, or any country for that matter? Or is it because policy has determined that he cannot do it, or there is a moratorium on it? I just think there needs to be more transparency.
Permit to reside. Boy, I tell you. Okay, let's get to some more of your messages here, your text messages, 422-4796, and call in, 325-4316. 325-4259. This person says here, no, we always hear there is no money for investigative journalists to follow up on issues. Who said that? There's no money? Money? I don't think that. What is money? Maybe time and bodies, perhaps, but not money. No. Anyway, but I ask Dwight, ask if you all and want to do a little side hustle there, and we set up a GoFundMe for it. You mean side hustle to be investigative journalists? That's what you're saying? I don't think y'all get the label of being aligned with any particular party yet by serious people, just the rabid party basis, so I can't imagine a lack of support. It's definitely needed for the state looking like a toothless dog, just barking but no follow-up bites. Well, okay. The follow-up is always there. It's people don't talk. The people don't talk. Right? I'm sure you know how this goes. If it's not about you, you'll be talking it up. But when it comes to you, once we call, you don't return the call.
And
You
you're so
don't show
small.
up. You won't open the door. You'll slam the door in the face. Like, oh, you run around. So that's not quite how it works. But I invite you to come to the field. We are looking for some folks. Come in and see how it works and see how wonderful your behavior people could be when you try to ask some questions about stuff.
Yeah, we're so small. I think people are afraid that,
But they'll talk to the New York Times when they come down, though. They'll talk
because
to
that's the international Dwight.
Oh!
International.
Oh, I see.
The international.
That's how it is?
Mm-hmm. But then a lot of persons didn't talk to the international media. Trust me, they were about asking, and a lot of persons did not one or two persons.
FTX.
Yeah, but I mean, even in general, one or two persons may have said something.
When they're too close, they don't talk.
No.
No?
No. I think some people are wise to know what these guys are just into the story.
Because the story, it's always a negative,
Yeah.
very
And then they
negative
don't
story
always
when it comes out.
present the story the way
Right. It'll
that
never
you
be.
say. You may be innocently trying to explain it, and they spin that to say you said something. As mind you, you said that, but it's not in that context that you said that. So then there are enough of us around here who are smart enough to know.
Well, clearly
They have
some
an
people
agenda.
think local journalists will do that too and won't speak to them, I guess. I don't know. But hey, this texter says the immigration laws need to be enforced at this critical point. The lust of crooked businessmen for cheap sweatshop labor should not tempt our officials to allow people to work on ill-gotten permits. A reduction in Haitian labor will result in increasing salaries and more Bahamians becoming interested in these jobs. Why should jobs be created in the Bahamas that are intended to not attract Bahamian workers? The Bahamas is for Bahamians. I hear you.
I mean, we could fix it. We could fix it with legislation. I don't think there's the will to fix it. So, for instance, before you get a work permit, you should be allowed to show proof of your living accommodations, paid up for 1 year.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, as I said earlier, the employer should be responsible, as they do for the top level executives, right? You need to show that you have maybe not paid for it, but you have confirmed that there will be living accommodations for this person.
We can.
Right? And that would
we can solve it.
drop a lot of the demand
Yeah,
right
the
there.
will is not there. You know, a few years ago, to apply to go to school in the United Kingdom, you know, you were able to, and a lot of the universities are changing their stance. When I went off to university, I think I mentioned this before, years ago, I had a cousin who sent a bank reference letter, wasn't paying my tuition. No, he just used his bank account information to say that I can go off to school, right? And then fast forward to like about 5, 6, 7 years ago, to go to the UK, you had to show that there were funds in the bank account of the guardian of the person that is going to school for 1 year, living accommodations and room, living accommodations and tuition for 1 year. And you had to prove that you had to prove via receipt that you had paid for your accommodations for 1 year, right? And they were doing that because a lot of persons were starting university, dropping out, and staying in their country. And so what they did, they mandated that if you go through, when you go through the visa process, you had to prove that. So why don't we, if we see that we're having a problem in this particular area, why we aren't saying, okay, if you have a work permit, then you have to prove to me that you have accommodations for 1 year, right? And that this company or person that has your work permit, or the documentation that are needed to ensure that you're getting your work permit properly. We can do that. That's easy.
Very easy. Very easy. Yeah.
And then we need to stop this with renewing. I think that it's against the law to renew your work permit while you are here.
No, I'm not too sure about that one. But definitely you can't apply and not have a job.
Okay.
And be here and not have a job.
So you never had a work permit before. All of a sudden, you never had a work permit before, but now you have one and you are in the country.
Yeah, already. Yeah. It seems simple, and we're not buying the excuses that we're getting.
You just need the will. The will, I believe, is not there to do what is required to get it under control.
And you should expect that somewhere within that year, we will drop by your home to see that you are living here.
And we should know in this segment or in this sector, we have X amount of persons that have work permit to work in this segment of the society, and how long these work permits are for. And then that would give labor an opportunity to look, okay, so we have 10,000 people in this sector with work permit. And these permits on average expire. We have about, let's say, 3,000 expiring this year. Do we have any Bahamians? for these jobs.
Absolutely.
So let us know. We got some work permit expiring. We need you to apply for these jobs because these jobs are available.
Yep. Seems simple. What's the problem? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Strong. Good morning, Palm.
Good
Hi,
morning.
good morning.
You know, Palm, I agree with you. Dwight, as far as the work permit, right? I brought in a Jamaican fellow who used to work with my mom, and so I remember I had to deal with it before he came, right? But I think I wanted him to stay a while longer. My memory is kind of vague, but I did ask for an extension, Palm, whilst the permit was still legitimate, all right? And I think you write a letter to the Director of Immigration, and he was granted an extension. But it was a fee. And it was an application fee. So as I can remember, I don't know if anyone could expand on it. But, you know, Dwight and Palm, I agree with you as far as the moratorium on the work permits, okay? Because a certain demographics are posing a problem. And so I saw a clip on WhatsApp about an interview in front of the Guardian with a white Bahamian lady, right? And then I feel it for these people, but she shouldn't say the defense force can't handle the situation because it breeds a sense of despair and hopelessness. So I feel the pain and I see what's going on, and what she's saying is actually true because it was going on post-Orient. And so, you know, to see the PM come on, the PM is on a PSYOPs, like PR operation, you look like, right? So he's forgetting the Bahamian people, right? And, you know, the demolition of the shanty towns is only one speck of the problem. He need to put on a stinking cap, being a jolly giant, right? And just when he's talking to the Bahamian people, because it's not about buildings, it's about who here illegally and the numerology, the numbers, Dwight. There seems to be no form of urgency. And Palm, why are these videos about Haitian people with these guns circulating in the Bahamas? Like you saw the video the other day with the guys in Haiti, the little gang with the little drums on the little machine guns and stuff like that. Why are these circulating in the Bahamas? What is that supposed to mean? And then look at the interview with Lincoln being with the lady over Paradise Island. What I'm saying is you have to realize the psyche. Why is it that the Haitian woman saying Bahamian people look at Haitian people as if they're fecal matter? She shouldn't be saying that. Lincoln should have corrected her. That's not correct. Not everybody. Why would she say that? So you have to understand what that is breathing, Mr. Strong. National security and all. They don't have any intel. It seems like Levon with a guy named Francis was on Howard the other day. And he disclosed a boat being stolen from the marina, and he ran on to say, what were they using it for, to go this way and go that way and bring this and bring that. But what I'm saying is, we don't have the intel. What's the point of having national security if they don't have the jump? Lincoln shouldn't have disclosed that the Haitians living on Paradise Island. The thing is, we don't have the intel that we should then. That's what I'm saying. Is we're sitting here sleeping and talking, and we see the incremental infringement of human rights and Bahamian people, all right? In the inner city, in everywhere, in every island. So what we are being naive about is the fact that these people are becoming emboldened because there are a number of them here. You know, and I interact with these people, so you're going to be in trouble. I live in the inner city. I just had conversations with them last night. And I said, let them know respect. Maybe people like went to the Asian mommy to buy some black beans. Or they surprised if he even buying black beans. We end up in a little joke, a little talk in the shop. But what I'm saying is I'm integrated with these people now. I don't have a problem with these people now. What we fail to realize is the number. They are feeding information to their friends and family in Haiti and telling them that the outer islands are sparsely populated and they can come here and do this and do that. But we are sitting by weak and pathetically. Hey, and we say we mustn't blame the government, Dwight. The government could go in the bush and find this and find that. You can't tell me now it's the defense force and the government don't have the urgency to patrol the land. Use dogs, use something. Stop sitting back. Dwight, we are hopeless here. Dwight, you guys don't see the urgency of this thing, you know. Until something happened. That's what I'm saying is, and then who they blame? And so if the text suggests that the PLP, and not only the PLP, all other political parties are being complicit because they want Haitian votes, which we see what blackmail is pushing here. So what I'm saying is, why can't don't be biased with the situation. It could be true because he said that he's one of them. He said it to the people. A lot of them said that they want. These Asian beings would go up here. They just like me and you. I talk to them every day. I see them every day. They sound like us. But what I'm saying is the statements coming out of the lady mode. I told you all, most of these people don't like Bahamians. So how you could have your country building up with people who have millions of people that are coming here and saying this, I'll be looking at them. The punch was right. They have this hatred for Bahamians because you all allow this, what they call so-called status. They're not status because Haiti have a constitution where they always have citizenship status. So why are we promoting the statelessness narrative and this xenophobic BS.
Okay, all right, very passionate there. This text as we go to the break. The government is in the business of making money from work permits. Why will they ever stop it? Boy. All right, let's take a break for the news. We'll pick this up and more, including what's happening with downtown, with all these tourists here and nothing to do.
Yes.
On the other side of the news. Stay with us.
Sometimes I feel like everybody is a sexy baby.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. And now at 8:20, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Here's what's happening. You're liking the cool temperatures? Well, the weak pressure pattern coupled with dry, stable, and cool conditions will continue at least through to the middle of the week. There's also a low pressure system centered well northeast of the area that will continue to support hazardous marine conditions. So as a result of that, small craft operators should not venture far from port, and beachgoers should stay out of the water due to rough surf and dangerous rip currents. Motorists and pedestrians along coastal roads should exercise caution due to the possibility of overtopping waves. Your forecast for all areas today: variably cloudy and mild, fair and chilly tonight. Again, small craft operators should not venture far from port. We're looking at temperatures getting up to only about 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius for highs today. Lows tonight getting down about 57 Fahrenheit, 14 Celsius. In your extended outlook, we've got a quiet but cool weather pattern along with hazardous marine conditions. That's going to continue through at least the middle of the week, as we said. And so for Tuesday, mostly fair and mild. Wednesday, partly cloudy and mild. That's your Morning Blend weather check, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Visit firstonlineinsurance.com and select a Bahamas First agent to purchase, pay, or renew your car or home insurance 100% online, or just stop by any Bahamas First agent. Bahamas First, celebrating 40 years as the first Bahamian general insurance company. What's first for you comes first for us. And at 8:22, time for another check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. RBC's mortgage specialists can provide helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. In your real-time traffic at this hour, as usual, Mile Butler Highway, your hot spot this morning. Heavy traffic from well south of the Fire Trail roundabout all the way up to the Tonique Williams-Darling Highway roundabout in the northbound lanes there. Glass Road is going to be busy for you as well, north of Fire Trail all the way up to JFK Drive. Further up on Mile Butler Highway, you're going to see traffic as you get to the Six-Legged Roundabout, and that's going to be from multiple directions, northbound and eastbound on JFK Drive. And then even further up on New Providence Highway, you'll see some traffic as you approach the roundabout at West Bay Street at Saunders Beach, eastbound on West Bay, and heading out of that roundabout eastbound towards Arawak Key, a bit of congestion there. Carmichael Road, westbound, heavy traffic for you on the way to Coral Harbor Road, and eastbound on the way to Blue Hill Road. Blue Hill Road's busy near St. Vincent Road, Carmichael, and just north of Soldier Road on the way to the roundabout with Independence Drive. Independence Drive backed up westbound for you to that roundabout with Blue Hill. East Street and Soldier Road, that intersection looking congested. And pockets along Soldier, especially near Windsor Place, and north of Robinson Road on your way to Wolf, Bernard, and Village. Eastern Road, heavy traffic from Fox Hill to Johnson Road, westbound. Bernard Road, westbound, near the schools in the area. And Prince Charles Drive on your way to Beatrice Avenue and to Soldier and Robinson. Those are your hot spots. That's your look at traffic, brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist.
Nassau's gone funky. Nassau's gone soul. We've got a doggone beat now. We're gonna call our very own. Nassau Rock and Nassau Road. Nassau's got a whole lot of soul.
We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. And we'll get back to our conversation on immigration and work permits in just a bit. Just want to let you know, I want to talk about this in a second. The cruise port welcoming 157,000 visitors so far and setting a one-day record as well. It's been a lot of people this past week visiting Nassau, and the usual question I have is, what was there for them to do? We'll talk about that in a second. Let me just read the last of these text messages based on our conversation earlier. This person says here, I used to work in the bank, and just to make you aware, we had to be governed by permits and things of that nature and to allow people to open accounts. So there are some permits to reside that allow you to work and some permits to reside that do not allow you to work. So it depends. Yeah, we get it. We just think you're looking for trouble. You're looking for problems, especially when you have a relatively young person on a permit that allows you to reside. But, I mean, what are you doing for money? What are you doing? Should you not be concerned about that? I mean, what's the deal? Are you an heiress? You just sitting around with your money in your bank account? What's that about?
And then what's the game plan? Because it's temporary. So do you keep renewing it until you get married or until you settle down in the country? But what's the exit plan?
Right. Until someone offers you a job. I don't know.
And then if you have a permit to reside but not to work, then you can't work in the country. So, what's the exit plan?
Are you then a dependent of the state? Are we taking care of you? Are you expecting someone else to be taking care of this person? What if they don't anymore? What happens to that person? You're looking for trouble. Yeah. Okay. This one says here, why would the government mess with one of its golden calves? Work permit fees are bragged about when the budgets are presented. They are willing only to make more money, period. This person says, I listened to you read that thing from Minister Bell today. He said it's a problem. This is an indication, well, problematic. Yeah, this is problematic. This is an indication that the Bahamas government has given up or needs help. The government can engage the assistance of the public via citizens' arrest or the United States citizens' arrest.
I don't think it has to come to that. I think they have the power of legislation and then enforcement. I just think the will is not there. The problem has probably become so big they're overwhelmed by it. And so, you just successive administrations just kick the can down the road, keep kicking the can down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yep. This one says here, speaking of immigration, try calling the Department of Immigration. You can never get through. I tried all their lines to report illegal migrants that I saw roaming the streets of Cowpen. Got no response. Well, again, we're asking, are you sure they are here illegally? All right? How do you know? This one says here, it's the will, simply the will to document persons. We have thousands of workers in all ministries underemployed and underutilized. Give them a tablet and ask for name, date of birth, and take a photo for each man, woman, and child from the bushes to the gated community. Catch them all. How hard is that? We're borrowing to pay salaries now. Come on. Proof of legal landing must be the first requisite for having a work permit.
Mm-hmm. See, I think there are a number of persons in the country that are going about it the right way, They have all of those documentations. But it's the ones that are not. How do you find them?
Yeah.
Right? Because I can imagine the Department of Immigration can tell you, they can tell you the number of persons. And for all of those persons, you must submit a passport and you must show that your national insurance contributions are paid up and you get a certificate of good standing. There is a process. But then the challenge is there may be a lot of persons who are not following that process. And how do you find them out? And what happens to them if you find out that they're not following the process?
Yeah. This person says here, it's so simple. Just declare in 3 months that if you don't have your papers or are here illegally, just leave. And that sweeps will be done area by area. Plus, anyone found hiring undocumented folks will be fined or jailed. Anyone hiring someone with work permit has to show a rental agreement. And finally, any undocumented person found here after that 3-month period will be held in prison for a month or will pay a fine of $3,000.
It's probably not that simple because didn't the former prime minister, made a statement similar to that at the beginning? If you're not straight after a certain period of time, you should leave. Did anything came out of that? Okay.
This person says, immigration is full of slackness. There are no procedures and everybody does what they want. That's why I applauded Dr. Minnis for wanting to set minimum guidelines for government response. I've applied for a work permit, got it approved for 24 months, yet the letter was sent 6 months before it expired. That encourages bribery and backdoor dealings. This person says, Dwight, I'm proud of you today. It is a housing issue. The Immigration Department simply needs to implement a policy that requires living accommodations to approve work permits. Most of the Haitians here are paying a minimum $2,200 annually to work in the Bahamas. They do contribute to the Bahamian economy. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty simple way to get this partially resolved, at least, right? Proof of housing. You could tackle that other issue we're having, and that would deter a lot of people from getting work permits because I have to make sure that you have housing. Me? Oh, no, let me hire a Bahamian. I'm sure they would say it. But anyway, I recently watched a video on YouTube where a cruise ship passenger said that Nassau is boring compared to other countries and ports on the stop. There's nothing to do, and it is very boring. Well, you didn't need to see that for someone to tell you that. I hope you didn't need to see that. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. So I was telling Pam, the Tuesday holiday, remember, in the middle of the week there, majority rule day. So I did go for breakfast, and that was a challenge. But I ended up downtown.
Where did you go?
ended up at, I was shocked that they were open. There was one place, it seemed.
Okay.
One might have been, on the other side might have been. No. Well, there were a couple other places that were open. They were just opening up. But most weren't open. I think you could get a drink. You could get Sky Juice. But one place was serving breakfast. Shock. And and then saw the thousands of people who were in town, because you could see from there all those ships. Like, whoa, there's a lot of ships in today on a Tuesday. 6 or 7 ships were there.
6
and driving through
mega
downtown.
ships.
Thousands. I haven't seen that many people since long before the pandemic. And I'm like, oh, I feel so sorry for these people, because it was still pretty early, maybe around noon by then. What are these people going to do? What are they going to do? Because, only so many T-shirt shops and jewelry stores you can go in. That one solitary place with breakfast on the fish fry I can't think of any Bahamian restaurant downtown. And I'm like,
a lot of work
are we
needs
serious?
to be
Are we
done.
really serious about this tourism thing? What are we doing?
I think it has to be a rethink. I really believe that for many years, I personally haven't seen a tourism minister that got it in terms of the tourism product.
But
When
it isn't
relates to-
just the tourism minister.
I'm just saying, but I think they can steer it, they can guide it. I personally haven't seen it, and I'll tell you why. See, every tourist that's on those ships they have to pay the government $18 stamp tax per head.
Yeah.
Every tourist. So the government gets that money and it's happy and it goes about its business.
Yeah.
But what I don't see them looking at is how do you increase the spend per cruise ship passenger?
Well, as you said, they don't care.
I just think they don't understand it. That's why I say I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a
you
tourism
can't-
minister in my time of looking at it
Yeah.
that understood how important that is. Because look at downtown.
Okay, and here we go. Here we go back to the same thing I say all the time, and clearly I say it so often that everybody tunes it out. This is never going to improve as long as we don't have a manager for the city of Nassau and managers for the island of New Providence, which means in most parts of the world, a mayor and a city council, for them to decide this is our vision for this city. And whether you're a tourist or a Bahamian, you're going to love coming here. And there's going to be something for you to do at every hour of the day. We have no department in any government ministry that is responsible for this. And they won't be good at this, even if they created one. You need to have elected officials, and that's their whole purpose, to manage this city, to manage what we look like, what we feel like, the spirit, every single thing. It's never going to happen if you leave it to central government. Never.
And I could agree with you so that you say until that time comes, which, you were part of a committee during the last administration where y'all did a report on local government and it was just trashed.
Trash is the best word.
Yeah, it was trashed. So you are part of it. You are
I don't think anyone in the cabinet even read the report.
So until that happens, what are we supposed to do? I went on a tour of the cruise port. That's amazing. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And I said
I could see it from Arawaki. I said, wow, look at that. Look at that thing. Is that the amphitheater, the building?
I'm not even talking about that. It's just
the
whole thing.
Yeah.
And you have situations now where you have ferries that will take persons to different islands right there. They don't even have to come on Bay Street. So I said to the persons,
Different islands where? Like
our little keys, sorry. So I said to the person, Bay Street's going to have a problem. Because when those people come off the cruise ship and when they taste Bay Street, they're not going to want to go beyond Nassau Cruise Port.
Yeah.
They have everything there. All of the activities, everything is there unless they're going to go someplace specific to enjoy something. And if they could get a cruise on the boat to go to another key, they don't even need to come off.
Well, at that point, you'll say Bay Street got what it deserved.
Yeah.
Because we've been saying this for decades, right? There's no way that people could sit back and see what's been happening east of East Street and sit down and just say, oh, well, These owners need to do something. Those people, and that's everyone in this country, aren't serious about tourism. They don't care one bit about tourism, and we are just by osmosis making it through tourism because this is ridiculous.
Some businesses get it. Like you take the rum cake factory. When I pass that place, they're always crowded. So obviously they're offering a service that people like, and there's word of mouth that continues to push that business. The taxi cab the buses, they always have people on clock. On the clock, going to that rum. I've never been there. I say to myself, I need to take a tour of the rum cake. I would like to do that. Take a tour of the rum cake factory right there.
And they're offering something unique, right? I mean, well, we know where to find rum cake, but I mean, at least to the tourists, it's going to be something unique and special.
That's the model.
Right. They're not going to be able to get that when they go to, I hope, to one of these other cruise stops.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't understand this. And I keep saying, if you haven't done a cruise, if only to understand the tourism sector better, do it and see why Nassau is not an attractive spot for cruise visitors. It is a disgrace.
But you want to go to a Caribbean cruise?
Yeah, take a Caribbean cruise and see how similar it is to what we're offering and why you might not say, I don't need to come off the ship. Because I just saw this. They got the same stores. Yeah. Are you serious? I thought that was oh, no, they got that over there too. What? It even looks like that. So the same pink and blue and green. Nothing unique. And we should be ashamed of ourselves. We should be. We've said it before. East of East Street, the canvas is blank. We have opportunities there to create something amazing.
When I'm driving... When I'm driving through downtown, it's probably after 10, 11, and I see tourists wandering. I want to say, go back, go back.
Where are you going? Why? Why? Are you trying to get to Paradise Island? Maybe that's what you're doing. Okay, well, just walk fast, Because
and then when they get the ferry service, then they would need to get the cab to the Paradise Island. They could just get a ferry from the harbor.
As you said,
and go
blank canvas. Something, an entertainment district, a design district, so many opportunities for cafes and pubs and where you can see live entertainment all day, all night. Theaters where people travel to go to Broadway.
The cruise port is going to offer that. I was telling somebody, I noticed that the cruise ships are overnighting now. And so they're overnighting. So I'm like imagining waking up and there's this wonderful restaurant downtown where you could get some really nice food and you could just go out there and enjoy some Bahamian cuisine, even Bahamian fusion, infused cuisine, right? So,
Bahamians people travel over the world with Broadway to go and see plays. We've got so many talented people here. We could be doing this, right? Like, come on. It's sad. Take over. These folks who own these buildings aren't prepared to do with them.
Oh, that's a whole other story.
Over.
I think the vacant buildings, there need to be a tax levied.
Yeah.
Because I think downtown may be a tax-free zone. Now, but if you have a vacant building that's not being utilized, you should be taxed. And I've heard that many of those persons don't even live here.
Yeah, well,
they don't even live here.
Take the building.
They owned it, and their children live.
Take the building
somewhere else.
Take the building.
And again, I think you should leave it up.
I mean, then what?
Yeah, because then they would want to sell. Because who would want to pay a tax on a building that's not being utilized?
Try to have something that's already been taken, try to sell it then. But we cannot leave it up to them. As I said before, you've got to tell them this is what we want. And now you find a way to fit into this. And this is a design district. This is an entertainment district. This is whatever it is. And you have to meet these standards. This is what we want here. And no more T-shirts, no more jewelry. This is what we're doing. Pubs, cafes, theaters, whatever.
But you need a manager. See, because I imagine with the port, because it is managed properly, you couldn't decide that, I want to have this stall here. Right. They said, okay, this is what we want. Can you provide it? And they went and they did their due due diligence to ensure that the person that is occupying that stall had a product that would be up to their standard.
Absolutely. You need a manager. Every part in New Providence needs a manager. Every single part. And as was proposed, perhaps 5. You could maybe do 3. I don't know. And have that person be elected, not appointed, not somebody's cousin, elected by the people who live in that area to manage and curate the area for all, not just for tourists, but for everybody. This is going to be a fantastic place all the time. And every year we're going to make it better, like Disney World. Every time you go there, every year you go, there's something new. And that's what we need to strive for Nassau and every single part of this island. Right? We could have another city on this island that rivals downtown. Carmichael's kind of trying, but it could be so much better if it had a manager, which in other parts of the world is called a mayor. But when are we going to get it? Like I tell Stephen, the same issue with local transportation system is not going to get better if we keep waiting for central government. This needs to be in the hand of local officials, elected local officials who will get it.
So that means then we have to continue to expect what we're receiving until that time.
You better believe it.
Okay.
50 years from now, the same thing. The same headlines, right? Nassau, a dump. Work permit violations. Shanty towns, no buses working like sense. Taxis in chaos. It'll be the same. Happy Independence, Bahamas. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi.
How you doing, sir?
Doing well.
Mr. Strachan, can I talk to you for about 2 or 3 minutes because I've been waiting for 10?
You're on the air.
Yes. Dwight, first, I'm a bit slow for the mere fact that the topics are going so fast. You have 3 hours, and our major problem topic you had just a few minutes for, and you on to tourism.
We were on from 6-something talking about it, and now we've moved on to downtown.
And you say 50 years down the road, we still having the same problem with shanty towns and all of that.
If we continue on this path, yes.
Okay, yeah, if we continue on the path of not being disabled, yes, it was 3 hours, right? Hello? This is Ron?
You're on the air, yeah.
Yes, it was 3 hours, right? And it's the morning boil.
Blend, okay. All right, 325-4316. We lost a whole hour just now. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Let's say, what are you saying? What are you saying, folks? All those tourists. What did they do? What did they do? This person says here, cruise ships like the Disney Wonder have everything inclusive, so you make nothing downtown. They're only looking, and other ships bring the tourists after they've spent all the money elsewhere, so the numbers mean nothing because we vendors make no profit. Yeah, but again, you have to offer something they can't get on the ship.
Yeah.
Something amazing they can't see anywhere else, and we're not really doing that. The stuff looks the same in every cruise
It's
port.
the product. It's the product. You have to put effort into developing a product that they would like. And they did a survey where a lot of because a lot of these cruise ships have their own private islands, but the passengers wanted an experience that will allow them to immerse with the Bahamian people and what we had to offer. So they didn't just want to come to the Bahamas to go to a private island. They wanted to come off the ship and to immerse in our culture. And so if you're not getting any traffic, then you have to ask yourself the question, why am I not getting any traffic? I told you about the rum cake factory downtown. I imagine that service that they're offering is pretty good, and by word of mouth, people, that's probably one of the tours on the cruise ship list to say this is some place you want to go. If you want to go, this is a rum cake factory.
Yeah.
But just think about your product and how you are marketing it.
Absolutely. Think about it. If you hear the Bahamians love conch, if you come off a cruise ship, where would you get conch other than Arawaki? And some do make their way there. But is there anything downtown where you could say, let me try the conch that I keep hearing them talk about? Where would you go? Seriously, where would you go?
Yeah.
I have no idea. But this is madness.
And you have to make sure the conch is good, though. Like, you do your conch fritters, make sure it's good. So when you sell it to your Bahamian patrons, listen to the comments.
Yeah.
Don't dismiss it. Listen to it. If they tell you this thing only have flour and no conch, if they tell you it's too bready.
Don't say the tourists won't know the difference.
Yeah, so you try to work on it. Okay, let me see if I can make a light fritter that has more conch or seafood, whatever seafood you choose to put in it. I think a lot of restaurants now are doing these things called conch bites, right? Before we never heard about that. We have used crack conch or conch fritter.
What is a conch bite?
See, there you go.
Even less conch?
It's the smaller version of the conch. It's kind of breaded, but it's smaller size, and it's not like heavily breaded, but it's light, and people are selling conch bites.
Yeah.
Very expensive.
Oh boy! Wow. Well, can you get it downtown?
I am not. No.
Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. Good morning.
Great. Yes, I just posted last week. I think it was from the Guardian's archives. A picture of Bay Street, East Bay Street, way back when, and most of the recognize that place anymore, and it really was a beautiful place. But it could be, don't you think, I don't understand why consecutive governments, it's as if no one wants to touch that portion of Bay Street. And it gets depressing and as time goes on. And I concur with you when you say you see tourists walking in that area, you head in that area, and you want to slow down and say, turn back around. Don't go any further. I do the same thing. I feel the same in my heart, like it's a nervousness, saying them in those areas. But do you think governments will open themselves up for a lawsuit if they go and do what you're saying, Dwight, in reference to just making the bold decision?
Yeah, they would. And who cares, right? Just do it. I'd say, let's take this to court because you are costing this country. You're ruining our reputation. You are doing so much damage. I can't imagine which court would side with you.
And then in the meantime, you have our talent, icons dying. You have our talent dying, things that people want to see when they come here. The entertainment product. You have our cuisine. You understand? So that could be, the other end is fine, but on that end, it's just wasted land and wasted space. And it's sad that so much of it is dying. And I don't know if they can even preserve some of those buildings. But, the time, to do it, we're headed to 50, but we have to make it make sense, and we have to make something, evolve from this, go into this, making a bold move, and doing what, because when we want to do something, we go and we do whatever we want to do. You understand? For whoever purposes, when we have foreign investors come here, they come and they get prime land, prime properties, and do wonders with it.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we can't preserve something like that, because that is a national treasure out there at East Bay Street, and it should not have been, and it should not be allowed to deteriorate. It has, and the way it's continuing to do. So I just wanted to put that in the mix. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Okay. Sadly, the way the country's going, you could see them leasing that stretch to some foreign company,
waiting for someone to come in and save us. Yeah,
right. Like, we've leased this,
and
area.
waiting for them
100-year lease to fix it up. Like, seriously?
And then waiting for them to tell us the vision.
For
what they want.
The Bahamas, what Nassau should be.
Yeah,
like.
so you compare that to the cruise port, though. They told the tenants what they wanted, and they went out and looked for persons to fill the vacancy. That's the difference.
This person conch bite is a swing. I ordered that once and I was like, what is this madness? It's smaller than a marble. $14 for 8.
Was it good?
Wow.
Was it good? It's for those persons who don't want to eat the big conch snack, the bready. So you put in small portions and
Okay. All right.
For those persons who want small bites.
Wow. This person says here, I agree. As a country, we are not serious. So many ideas that can bring in income. Pepper sauce making classes, an agricultural greenhouse showcasing some of our produce, plants, etc. History of making of music, making goatskin drums, a Junkanoo Expo where they can make a headpiece. So much we can do. Straw hat making classes. Okay. Yeah, perhaps. Another one says here, in addition, we need to clean up Bay Street. From Go Slow Bend to Christie Street. I just walked Bay Street last Saturday morning, and just next to the cruise port exit was garbage behind a partition attracting flies.
You know, when I traveled, I went, I think, New York and to London because we had to leave out early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You saw persons with the trucks. They were cleaning up the streets like around 5:30 in the morning before, the city opened.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we need. We need people cleaning it up.
I see a little bit of that, but not.
Well, if it was clean, then we wouldn't see persons wouldn't be texting about the garbage that they're seeing. It's supposed to be on clockwork, routine.
Yeah. This texter, I find something very troubling about all this focus on tourism numbers and record numbers. With all this activity and crowing about tourism, why are we squeezing and taxing Bahamian businesses and citizens for blood and air? Something is wrong. They're not giving us the true picture, and they're not strategizing for growth. This tax-focused economy is designed for collapse, and if we don't get it, we are going to see worse than COVID. Well, Pam, I think you touched on what the issue is here, right? That those numbers are great because, as you say, there's money for every person. A little bit goes to the government, and so that's great. But is it translating to the people?
Well, see, that's
right? The people downtown, the vendors, the store owners, are they really benefiting from this?
Okay, look at our model. So I think the highest stopover count that we have had was in the early 1990s, 1.8 million. We have not exceeded that in terms of stopover. We have a lot more
very small.
cruise ship passengers, right? So when you have a stopover tourist, right, they go to their hotel, and more these hotels are all inclusive, right? That's good. The hotels hire Bahamians, but whatever money is made, it's towards the hotel, and that money leaves the country, right? We get the jobs, the government gets room taxes, so we are kind of capped on what we can receive. The idea is for those tourists to leave the hotel and to immerse themselves in our culture. The taxi cab driver will take them somewhere where they have lunch or dinner, and they spend money on stuff that, stores that we have in the country, right? Then you have the cruise ship passenger, right? They pay the government the stamp tax. But because we don't have activities for them, they either stay on the ship, or when they come, I told you I went on Friday, and there were many tourists during the time that we were there.
Yeah.
And one of them with like a bag with some logo that they went and they shopped and they got something. Someone had a bag with water in it, like a little plastic bag with water, but swinging hand, going back to the ship.
Yeah.
So the problem is, if this model that we have, if persons that come off the cruise ships or they stay on the cruise ship, and if the stopover don't immerse themselves in the culture, then that money is not trickling down into the wider community, and you can see why our growth is capped.
All right. We might have an issue with our guests. We probably will continue this conversation into business. We've got a lot of your text messages and talk some more about what needs to be done to get Nassau really going. Yeah, there are tons of people walking up and down through it, but what then? This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
A whole lot of soda. Feel alright.
Whether you're looking for your first or new home or existing home as equity, RBC understands that your journey to home ownership is unique and your mortgage financing should reflect that. That is why at RBC we have dedicated mortgage specialists that provide sound advice and helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. Best of all, the RBC mortgage team is mobile, flexible, and will meet you almost anywhere. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Florida Auto Parts can deliver all the auto parts your car will ever need, direct from the USA and from around the world. Florida Auto Parts provides fast delivery on auto parts, and we ship it genuine or aftermarket, new or used, and all for the best price. Call Florida Auto Parts Trusted Parts Rep on WhatsApp at 1-786-772-8777 to save on your next auto parts purchase. Florida Auto Parts, the right parts at the right price.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Whether your business is in store, on the go, or both, let Fidelity work with you to maximize your customers' payment options with a fixed or mobile terminal so that you never miss a sale. It's safer than cash and more convenient so that you can take your business anywhere. For details, contact a business development officer today at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport, or visit our website at fidelitygroup.com.
At Wendy's, we are different. We don't just use beef. It's fresh, never frozen. Our burgers are square because we never cut corners. Served hot off the grill with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and American cheese. We believe in fast food done right. Always serving fresh, never frozen beef. Order a hot, juicy Dave single, double, or triple. Made with fresh, never frozen beef. Now only at Wendy's. Different inside and out.
Oh, wow! What's that under the Christmas tree? Up to $1,000 cash back for you and me? 10 lucky customers get a chance to win up to $1,000 cash back this Christmas just for spending $60 and over with their Scotiabank credit card in-store or online. That's up to $1,000 cash back to spend on gifts, gas, groceries, and more this Christmas. Visit bs.scotiabank.com for more information. Promotion ends January 28, 2023. Conditions apply.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the Belt Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit cfal.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Monday, January 16th, 2023. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan, along with Pamela Musgrove. All right, so we had been scheduled to have guests from the Department of Inland Revenue. So much to talk to them about with taxes and some of the scary, to some, words that we're hearing them mention, like wage garnishment. Is that a scary word to you, Pam? Scary words, couple scary words, yeah. And the way they want to increase scrutiny of business turnover and talking about landlords and taxes and all that stuff. But we seem to have a scheduling conflict or issue. We're going to sort that out and hopefully have them on as soon as we can at some point. But we're going to talk about downtown Nassau and the cruise port welcoming 157,000 visitors so far. Is that for what? We're going to read this story right now. And setting a one-day record. So our Chester Robards writing about this. Nassau Cruise Port has seen passenger movements of more than 157,000 since the year began. Wait, no, what? It's just day 16. Wow, that's pretty good, eh? And they achieved a one-day record of 26,410 passengers last week. Cruise port in a statement saying that single-day number was up from 25,393 passengers only a few days before. According to the statement, the port has received 1,592 cruise ship calls since the restart of the cruising in 2021, with several of those days being 6 ship days, the maximum number of cruise ship port. Nassau Cruise Port CEO Mike Moore Jr. saying in a statement that the high number of cruise passengers this early in the year is a great sign for Bahamians who depend on the cruise ship industry for their livelihoods. He said this was indicative of a strong rebound in the cruise industry with climbing occupancy rates, and that passenger volumes have a positive impact on the tourism industry in the Bahamas. He says Nassau often caters to repeat cruise travel clientele, and this year will showcase more exciting offerings downtown with the completion of the cruise port. And he says this is an exciting time. The statement also explained that the port welcomed more than 3.2 million cruise passengers last year and hopes to increase that number to more than 4 million before the year is out. The newly imagined cruise port is expected to have its grand opening during the final weekend in May. Currently, more than 300 workers are putting the finishing touches on a cruise port that's expected to be the envy of the Caribbean. And Pam said earlier she got a little sneak preview tour of it, and that it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, all right, so let's get your reaction to that. They're coming. They're definitely coming. But as we've been saying, outside of what we expect the cruise port to be offering come May, what else is there for cruise passengers downtown? And actually for stopover visitors, if you're not staying at one of the all-inclusive resorts.
And not just downtown.
Right, not just downtown. Well,
because if they're overnighting,
hotel downtown.
Yeah, if they're overnighting, then that,
what are you
expands the time frame.
Right? Are we all too, we know the answer to this, all-inclusive dependent now. And if you aren't with an all-inclusive and you're with one of the smaller boutique hotels, are you stuck? What is there for you to offer anybody?
And I think how businesses need to look at it is that with our population, I think we have 400,000 persons. I think accurately, they say it's about 381 since the last census was done. But let's round it up to 400,000 persons about that we have. And we have like a workforce, 200 plus thousand. So that's basically your market, right? In New Providence, they're about that amount. So imagine for a year you have 4 or 5 million tourists that are on that coming off that ship, or you have access to 4 to 5 million persons. That's how you have to think in terms of business, and then it's up to you now to create a product that they would enjoy.
Right.
See, you can. We like to do stuff. I remember, I think it was last year with the John Canoe video, and it was horribly done. And Bahamians complained, and they asked, and they kept who did it. That was never disclosed who did it. We can do things like that in house, but stuff like that don't work when we are dealing with international customers, because they would write on a Facebook page, or they would write on some travel blog their experience. So it's up to us now to heighten service level and deliver an experience that they will put positive stuff online. And so when persons are on that the ship, they want to go to that business because they've heard so many things about it. Likewise, if they didn't get good reports, they're gonna avoid it.
It's so sad to hear that we're talking like this in 2023 in a well-known global tourism center like this, and we just seem so amateur sometimes. It's just sad. Let's hear what you're saying, though. Let's continue this conversation about downtown and the product that we're offering, all in New Providence, actually. But caller, good morning. I see you've been on hold for a while. Good morning.
I was listening to the show, and it seemed as though there's a need to coordinate between the Ministry of Tourism, the various government departments, and the various entertainment people, because it seems as though we have some idea what needs to happen, but we don't seem to have a plan on how we should approach the problem. I'll give you an example. I went to church yesterday, and I drove down Bay Street heading home. There were tourists who were walking in the area of Government Hill, down by where the restaurant is, where they have the umbrellas up in the air. And people, they're walking around, and it seemed that there's a genuine interest in some of the historic sites. And we just seem to grasp the idea that people could develop businesses. For instance, why can't taxi drivers develop a plan where they would start downtown, visit the historic sites, go out in the by BC where they what's his name? The guy have the historic. We have the historic sites out there, and do a coordinated plan that is inclusive and cover all of the historic sites, rather than just taking them up to Montague, letting them come out the taxi and walk around, and that's the extent of the tour. There's also several culture centers up in the downtown area. You got some historic churches like Bethel Baptist Church, and right in that area, you have a number of churches that have been around for tours. You got St. Matthew's, you got, St. Matthew's, you got St. Agnes, and you have all these different areas. So you could approach it from so many different areas that you could, and then the other thing too is make sure that the people could give a proper tour and to be able to discuss it, to some extent in detail, what the tourist is visiting or what they're seeing or what they should expect when they go on these tours. The Junkanoo thing have the potential to really explode. And we could include that as a part of this cultural tour. And you'll have to get the fellas to clean up the shack a little bit and do some things to make it attractive and not just have fellas hanging around drinking all day and throwing the bottles all over the place and stuff like that. They should be able to show that this aspect of our culture is unique. Brazil got their thing, and you go down throughout the Caribbean, they have their cultural events, and they seem to be able to maximize the return that they get on these events. So I think, and as far as keeping the island clean, Bahamas got to stop throwing bottles out the window and throwing at, the roundabout. You look at some of these roundabouts, the fellas trying to keep them clean, but you look on the side of the road, all kind of bottle and trash that they throw out of the cars.
Yeah.
So somehow we need to sit down and have a serious discussion. That include Bahamians as well, because we are a significant part of it, and we have to change our way of doing things and looking at things.
Yeah.
The other thing, the last thing is prices that we are charging for some things. For instance, in Bimini, I understand Bimini is booming, right? But you could get a conch salad for $10, whereas you must be spending $20, $25 around here to get a conch salad, and you got to sit outdoors, breathe the air from that septic thing they got down at on East Bay Street, and you even how you eat the conch and you smelling the stuff, and they need to clean up some of these places.
Yeah. Great points. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I think one of those, I think we can do that immediately. Somebody, you should get in business with somebody about the historical tours. I think a tour that really focuses on all the historical sites.
Well,
That
to
could
his
be
point
done
on
right now.
Junkanoo, there will be a Junkanoo museum on the port.
I mean, that's wonderful. But you just think how... Now, we have a couple little ones here already. But East to East Street would have been perfect for something. Hey? Oh, boy. Here's a text. Everywhere around the world, people, historical sites. Only in Nassau do we allow historical sites to become bathrooms, like the forts and the caves. Also, the church where the Queen used to visit, that could be listed as well. Why not a brochure and online website of all the historical places? Clean them up and have security, and let's make money off them. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
You can make money from them. We're going to celebrate 50 years this year. What is the vision for tourism? And does the average Bahamian know what it is? What is it?
First of all, nobody.
What do we want to
Nobody
derive
has a vision
from tourism?
Yeah, and we got to keep to stop thinking of this as only international tourism, because plenty of Bahamians have never seen any of these things and need to go and visit them too. Right? We have to really look. 'Cause I was thinking while he was talking about historical tours. I mean, there's so many school children who've never been to so many places who need to be on that tour, and we're just blowing it in every single way, shape, and form. It's just
And
very sad.
on prices, like I purchased 2 boil grouper on Saturday.
Big timer.
2, Dwight. Well, and I paid $63 and something cents. Wow. For 2. $63.
Oh boy.
I only got it because it was for my mom and my mother-in-law, and I was treating them to boil fish on the weekend. $63. That is ridiculous.
Well, I am not. I hope I don't throw your people under the bus or anything. I mean, the season is closed, so hopefully the
Well, it was boiled
problem is-
fish. I assume it was grouper.
Right. Hopefully, it's because it was frozen and they had to, right, and so that might cause the price.
And
to
I
go
said
up.
that because he talked about price, right?
Yeah.
And I remember there was a time when you, if I'm not mistaken, like conch used to cost what, $2 or $1 something for a conch, right? You could get like a bag of conch at reasonable price, and now it's very expensive. I heard stone crab is in our waters, and I mean, when I went to food companies, they were selling stone crab for $18 a pound. I'm saying, you got to be kidding me. Like, I think something needs to be done there. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
But
we're not
also-
importing these things into
Yeah.
the country.
But I think we're also doing this to ourselves, because I remember, Pam, I'm sure you remember this. When you were younger, what was a portion of conch salad? How big was a portion of conch salad? It was small, right? You didn't think that would be your meal. Conch salad is your lunch. What? No, it was a little thing, and that was more sustainable. But now we've these giant portions that people. Anyway, we've priced ourselves out of the
Yeah,
market.
something needs to happen. I mean, I understand that people have to go and get these stuff, and I don't want to belittle their labor and the effort that they make to get these stuff. But I think it's just too expensive.
Yeah. Callers, we'll come to you in a second. He mentioned something, and I've wondered this from when I was a child. What is going on with that horrible smell by the bridge there? What is that all about? Why would that be forced? Why is that happening?
You mean
I
what?
know there's a sewage treatment plant. I don't know
Okay.
what it is, but by the Sydney Party Bridge, between that one and Potter's Key, That horrible from the time I was a child, a little child. Like, why? It every day for more than 40 years? And if you're older, you can probably tell us how long that's been going on. What is the deal? This is crazy. What is that all about? Anyway. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Are you there? Good morning. Okay, let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good evening, Strachan, always along with you and Palm, Dwight.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You need justice, law, and order in this country. That Cesspit Sen, Sewer Sen on East Bay Street there, by Potterski, that was there for years.
Yeah.
And guess what? One day, I was out that way and the Prime Minister passed, right? And I know he had to smell that even though it's calm with it being closed up. These people in this Bahamas are just nasty. All over the place. Man, let me show you something. The UBP used to keep this place cleaner than these people that run this country today. They used to have people with the buggy all over the hill and the shovel and the broom. Cleaning up, man. These people nasty. Other thing is,
Well,
say it again.
okay.
Want to say something?
Well, no, it's just ironic, but interesting. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm sure they
I
did.
want to say, Pam.
Yes.
You could have get a whole grouper to last you for days with $70, and you only would have to pay less than $1 for a lemon and some red pepper or boiled pepper. You understand what I'm saying? That then, I mean, it's your money, but boy.
No, I don't do that often. I mean, I was shocked because I haven't done it in a while. And that really shocked me. I think back in the day, if you paid $30 for 2 boiled fish, that was considered expensive, right?
That wasn't going to happen.
I was shocked. I haven't done that in a while, and yeah.
How big were
And
they?
I won't be doing that anytime soon.
Like that, just
I don't
the
know.
people.
I bought it, but
Anyhow, thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. So earlier in the show, we said, if somebody was coming in downtown, where would you get conch from? And so this is the advertising committee for downtown, I guess. I don't know. So this is the one time I'll give some free ads. They say Athena's, which is a Greek restaurant. Jimmy's is still open. That's still open? Where is it? Anyway, Bahamian Kitchen and the London all sell conch on Bay Street. Okay. I hear you. It should be a whole lot more. It should be Bahamian food everywhere, right? It should be not just around the corner or there's one place down there. I think they sell some food, even though they are Greek or Italian. I think they have a Bahamian dish on the menu. It shouldn't be like that. And you know that.
do we have a lot of those, though? I think out, where you could find Bahamian food. You think because it's so expensive, and if you're just selling that, you may.
I mean, you can find
kind
Bahamian
of price
food
yourself out the
on the
market.
rest. Some other places on the island.
I mean,
but
if you
it's
go
just
to Fish
downtown.
Fry, definitely
Right,
you would
definitely
have
fish
in
fry.
abundance.
And if that's what we're saying, then that's where you have to go. And okay, that's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't just. That's odd to me that we've put the food options only there. Especially when east of East Street looks the way it does. It's ripe for this type of product. If we've decided that regular Bay Street is for T-shirts and jewelry, then east of East Street, restaurants, live entertainment, pubs, all these things, cafes, museums, theaters, all of those things would be perfect there, except for the zombie empty building scenario we have going on. And as I've said before, if you want, zombies are hot right now. You could charge people lots of money to walk through a deserted, abandoned city. Turn it into a museum. You could make a whole lot, at least once a month, just to see. Which I do. But you could make me pay. You could. So if you're not going to fix it up, make people pay to see it like that. A person says here, I wish I could share my story, but like I said, social media is not interested in reality. There is something very sinister happening all over the Bahamas, and this happened to me in 2004. The people in charge of downtown are not behaving either. This is causing the death of tourism. Well, who's in charge of downtown? That's a problem, I don't think. Nobody is. It's just withering away on the vine, right? There's no plan. There's nobody overseeing it.
There's obviously no plan.
No. And no interest in the plan. Clearly. Right? Lots of talk, though. Lots of talk. Don't get the conch bites. You're better off getting the conch fritters and cutting them into 4 pieces.
No. I like the conch bites. I mean, it has to be made properly. You know, there are many different ways to make different things, and so you probably had a bad experience. Good ones. Yeah.
Conch bites. Okay. This person says, I've pitched to both administrations to make Western Esplanade our Bahama land. What? What? A cultural destination. Oh, okay. Combined with the forts, enhanced botanical gardens, the zoo, we have everything within 2 miles, and I cannot figure it out. Shame. Yes, it is a shame. This person says here, Dwight and Pam, street cleaning should be done at a time when people are off the streets. I do see people cleaning our streets, but they do it when the streets are busy. They are improperly dressed for the job and the weather. They do not have the proper equipment. I should not be seeing people in jeans and slippers sweeping the streets with a lightweight broom.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Looks
like
terrible.
On the highways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You see that.
And the guys with the weed.
I'm talking about the equipment where you know.
Yeah.
Going down the streets. And
Yeah, I think they're agreeing with you.
And I think we are at a stage where we can invest in those type of equipment. We are at that stage.
Well, okay. Again, if you're looking for central government to do it.
And we're not saying in New Providence or across the farm yard. We're saying downtown, your downtown district.
Don't look for it to be central government. You don't want that. You don't want that. Anyway.
So we don't have it.
We don't have it. That's true. So we got to. It can't just be Dwight and a few of the folks who are on the committee with me saying that you need it, right? You know that things aren't going the way it should work. You know, you've traveled, you've seen other cities. It doesn't work like that there. Why? Why not? Because they're managed. They have a management structure. They have a mayor and they have a council. They have these things, right? We talked about this before, right? Somebody mentioned this the last time we talked about downtown, about how we need an eye. I don't really get the point of these eyes, but they're in every major city, and you loved it.
Yes.
You've been to the London Eye, right?
We need an eye.
We need an eye. But you think any minister around here is going to propose that? You think it's going to happen at all? No, it'll never happen. We need a mayor who gets the vision, who understands that we have to market the city. We cannot leave it to our wonderful folks at Atlantis and Bahamar to market Nassau, New Providence, right? We cannot leave it to the hotels to tell the story. We have to do this. We have to do it.
Well, we could turn it over to the management team at Nassau Cruise Port to do it.
Oh, boy.
I mean, they're doing such a wonderful job with the cruise port. Let's allow them then to get on to Bay Street and manage it.
And you watch Pam, give it 50 years. Remember I said Bahamas in 2073. Next thing you know, Nassau Cruise Port will be managing the entire island. And
well,
there we go.
Well, if they do a good job, it wouldn't be bad.
Right, that's what we were going to say. And there we go, Freeport number 2.
No, it'd be different.
Will it be different?
Because then they wouldn't own it. They're just managers of it. They won't own the island.
Until some administration decides we need to put a clause in the management thing. But anyway, oh boy. This person says here, consult Erin Green on what to do in Nassau. She has awesome cultural ideas on all things Bahamian. Erin Green for Minister of Culture and Tourism. Hey, sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
What about a hop-on, hop-off bus service? I don't know what that means. What does that mean? But if you think it'll be a good job, do a good job in increasing people's interest in Nassau, then fantastic. Whatever.
Not now, because there's nothing down there.
Well, that must.
So you can't do that now. You got to fix the place up first.
Well. $63 is almost the price of a whole grouper. That is ridiculous.
Totally ridiculous. Totally ridiculous.
I asked you, what were the portions like? How big was that?
Well, like I said, I bought it for a person, so I didn't open it up
it
to
wasn't
see.
for you. Oh,
no,
okay.
I bought
you
it.
bought all that and didn't even get to
No,
taste
no.
it. Oh my, that's special.
So I didn't see this.
Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight. Morning, Pam.
Good morning.
Very interesting conversation as usual. A couple ideas popped into my head. For years now, from a cultural standpoint, we had Fred Munnings, who was very instrumental in giving ideas on how to revive that aspect, the entertainment aspect of this country, especially in Nassau. You so rightfully stated that what is there for the tourists to do in terms of really having that Bahamian experience. Right now, there's hardly anything. Everything is foreign downtown, basically. So they're not getting the true experience that we as Bahamians will expect them to enjoy while they're here visiting our country. The second part of it is downtown. Part of it is dilapidated. We have been complaining as Bahamians about the condition of the heart of our city. The perception is if the heart of the city looks like that, then judge the rest of the island. So we have to correct that. Those buildings down there actually also have historical value. How about us if we cannot get the owners to clean up these properties, to claim eminent domain, clean up the place, and then these tours and stuff that you talked about, we could talk about the Ajib building and the Hotel Corona and all this stuff, how it came to be, the historical points, so how Nassau City was built. My last point, talking about the educational value for our children in school. When we were younger, we had tours to Fort St. Castle, the Water Tower. We had tours to Fort Montague and given the relevant information real time. I know for a fact that no one really has heard much about, for instance, Black Bear Tower. That was another historical point out on the Eastern Road that you don't hear anything much about. I don't even know if the taxi drivers or the tour guides actually do a tour out there, saying that it's really off the road and out of sight. But, we need now to bring about the cultural aspect. We have lots of ways to make monies from our cultural and our historical facts. In real time today. And these are just missed opportunities. I feel that we can really garner more monies from these things if we have the relevant persons in place in our parliament and go in our other, powerful places to talk about how do we restore Nassau to a former glory where our history can really be taught, not just to the students, but also some of us who may have forgotten what our history is all about. Thanks for taking my call this morning.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. All right. Let's take this call, and then I want to get to something that our friend Stephen Hanna sent us. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning to you, Dwight, and good morning to you, Pam, Shellen Johnson, quicker thinker.
Hi.
Dwight, you talked about not wanting to clean, just a couple of points. Do you know why it would not be done by government? Like you say, I think it's Pam to get some machines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Pam, if I want to hire 1,000 people to dig a hole, I'll give them all spoons. 100 people, I'll give them a shovel. If I want to hire one, I'll give them a tractor. It's what jobs.
Well, that's interesting.
Because
I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking you would never see the machine because they'd lend it out to somebody. And,
yeah, so that's what they.
But you're right too. I think
they'll buy the machine, lend it to somebody, then give them all spoons.
Yeah.
So let's talk also about downtown, the buildings and stuff. The problem is that everybody who talk about downtown talk about rebuilding the past as opposed to embracing the future. And most of those owners are very deliberate in what they're doing. They're waiting till the unrepurposable use, because they know eventually they will get a progressive government that will allow a combination of housing and what's going on. And also, what also happens too is that, have you ever heard of this company, this thing that's going on around the world called FTX? Well, what happens is if you ignore what he did, because again, that's not cryptocurrency or tokenization or whatever, it's actually straight out fraud. Eventually, we'll be able to have a real conversation about the failures of FTX. What I'm saying is that there are processes in the world for tokenizations and other different things that actually would give Bahamians access to resources to actually get loans internationally. I know people talk about foreign exchange? That is to control the amount of money leaving the Bahamas, not the flow in. So, but tokenizations and other things would allow people to embrace access to resources. They don't have to sit in the banks. They don't have to actually depend on lawyers. They don't have to depend on accountants or even real estate agents. This is democratization of the economy that's happened around the world globally. The problem is, again, we'll step over dollars to pick up trinkets, shiny trinkets. What I'm saying is that we have to have a conversation on the redesign of the product.
Mm-hmm.
We are now in the fifth social revolution. COVID is the one that accelerated that. People do things differently, everything else. Let's use an example. We talk about those cruise people. That's the amount of arrivals. Dwight, I want you to imagine you have a store and you start counting all the cars that is in the parking lot, but ignore the amount of people that actually come into your store. And then there's even a smaller subset that actually buy something. That's what we're good at doing, and counting arrivals. That's what came into the harbor. First of all, they only stop here, go and study the cruise people, they say themselves. They say they stop here to meet, I forget the name of this law in the U.S. It's two countries. They stop the Bahamas and another country right below Puerto Rico. They have them on their itinerary so they can meet this goal of leaving the U.S. and coming back. They also keep them here for certain tax benefits. We are not part of their agenda. We are part of their personal agendas to actually bypass certain laws in the U.S. and leaving and coming back. So,
but we can benefit from that, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm about to tell you.
So,
the problem is that we never looked at how, in spite of their agenda, that we don't incorporate them into our agenda.
We can capitalize from and use them for our benefit.
But we used to, okay? But now what you have is that, notice these cruise ships are becoming larger and larger and larger. These cruise ships hold more people on one trip than Atlantis hold in two or 3 days of full occupancy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the problem is these are all-inclusive hotels. In the same way we don't benefit that much from all-inclusive hotels, you will never benefit from all-inclusive.
I wouldn't say never. And the problem why we don't benefit is because we're not offering the stuff to make them want to leave their current accommodations. Because they would.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying to you. Let's look at what they have. Give an authentic experience, okay? Let's give an authentic experience. Then let's set some rules in place concerning what we used to have. Because if I have a choice, even as we begin to grow, that this cruise ship has all of these amenities that we can't even comparatively compete with at this particular time, then they will still stay on the cruise ship. But if they are seeking fiscal benefits of passing through our waters and just stopping in the Bahamas for a couple of hours, then let's negotiate on our feet rather on our knees. And so we can set the rules for this experience, but we also have to make sure that the resources is here to get people in. But here's a greater experience, Pam and Dwight. If we look at tokenization to get monies into the over the hills and other places, we can actually begin to create some new experiences, because the whole thing is about money. Create some new experiences and that allow the people that comes in by air who spends hundreds. I think these guys spend $75. The average person spends $1,000, $1,500. So let the cruise ship die. In fact, tell them find another place to stop, and then simply try to get 1 million or 2 million actual additional stopover visitors that will blow out the water even 10 million cruise passengers. But we just need to embrace the future, embrace the resources, acknowledge that we are in the fifth social revolution, meaning the way people travel, explore, everything done. Let me end in saying this. For those who keep saying we need to get out of tourism, tourism is the 10th largest industry in the world. When you say you want to expand out of tourism rather than into tourism, because we never really got into hospitality or tourism, please tell me which of the other 9 we're going to be going into, because you don't leave the 10th largest to go into the 15th largest.
Yeah.
So
we've only scratched the surface with tourism. We're playing around, playing around with tourism.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, this is text as we go to the break. Dwight, this is what we've been talking about. Dwight, have you been to the wharf downtown recently? Yeah, that's what we're talking about. They're building all these shops for the touring. The question is, who will be the owners of the shops there? That's where the concentration is. That's why they're not worrying about east of East Street. Well, hey, whoever's doing that had to do what they had to do. The port as well, right? They saw a need. They heard from the cruise ship operators and the people coming off the cruise ships that we don't like this place. We need to do this and that and that. And that's what they're offering at the cruise port. Who is the they need to do something about east to East Street? It's us. right? And if every time you see an MP or cabinet minister, you're asking some silly question about a contract as opposed to when you're going to get it together with downtown so that it doesn't look like garbage, a dump.
They need to try and get their contract right. They need to try and get their contract. So don't stop the people from getting their contract. No.
Ask about your contract and about, hey, are you all serious about downtown?
No, they need their contract.
Oh,
so
okay.
the government needs to do something.
50 years of asking about your contract.
Yeah.
This is where we are. But ask two questions then. Your contract, if you must. And, hey, y'all aren't serious about downtown.
If you have some time, if some time remaining, then you ask about downtown.
Can you ask about downtown first?
That's not their responsibility. No. The thing that we were reading, it showed in the UK where the Prime Minister outlined the vision for high streets.
If he doesn't have the vision, what are we going to do? Right? If he doesn't see the need to have local government, true local government, where they are empowered to do these things, then what are we going to do?
Continue to talk.
We're going to get into this after the break. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. How much longer will Nassau be funky?
Ready to save? You can put $100 into the CFAL Savings Express Plan and make sure your money keeps growing. Earn interest on your savings while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
Legacy College Readiness and Tours. Already get the first set of knowledge. Now it's time to prepare you for college. You're thinking so much you gotta do.
Hi, my name is Erica Morris, the president of Legacy College Readiness and Tours, a comprehensive college readiness firm. I'm reminded of my senior year in high school, the trepidation and insecurity I felt the closer my school years were coming to an end. I was afraid and unsure of what steps to take next. I needed a me, someone knowledgeable about the college and career selection process. And I know finding the best college fit can be a daunting and stressful task. And I'm here to eliminate that stress by providing a guided tour into you choosing the right college for you. For more information on how Legacy College Readiness and Tours can assist you, contact us at 242-809-5278 or email us at legacycollegetours@gmail.com.
With so much going on in the world today, only accepting cash at your business can be risky. Let Fidelity offer you and your customers safety, convenience, and the flexibility of a fixed or mobile terminal. Take it with you. On the move and on business should never stop. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit us at any of our branches.
Always on the go? Missed the show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the podcast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
Whether your business is in-store, on the go, or both, let Fidelity work with you to maximize your customers' payment options with a fixed or mobile terminal so that you never miss a sale. It's safer than cash and more convenient so that you can take your business anywhere. For details, contact a business development officer today at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport or visit our website at fidelitygroup.com.
you doing?
Okay.
Are you sure? I noticed you've been down lately.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know. I can't really put into words how I'm feeling, but I know I don't feel like myself sometimes. There's just so much going on in my life. School, friends, sports. Sometimes I worry about different things and feel stressed.
I'm glad you're talking to me. And it's okay to talk about your feeling. It's normal to feel changes depending upon what's going on around you.
Yeah?
Of course. All of us should be concerned with our mental health and our well-being. Good mental health means that we can cope with our everyday stresses. You can talk to me anytime when you feel like it.
Okay. We should have these check and talks more often and take things from there.
Message is brought to you by Paho.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
It is time for your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL. Citing the possibility of a sharper than projected global slowdown, the World Bank, in its just released Global Economic Prospects 2023, projecting 4.1% economic growth for the Bahamas in 2023, nearly half of the 8% growth projected in 2022. Growth is projected to continue slowing into 2024 at 3%. The risk for the Bahamas remains its sizable debt, according to the World Bank, especially as it's facing headwinds from overlapping crises. It says that small states face several major risks. Some are common to all developing economies, with distinct impacts on small states, such as the effects of the pandemic, financing shocks, and the inflationary effects of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Others are more specific to small states, such as the exposure to climate-related and natural disasters, and structural and international or institutional challenges. You can read more on that in today's Guardian's business section. And Exumian residents were briefed last week about 4 major luxury developments, with many eagerly awaiting their impact. That's according to Exuma Chamber of Commerce President Urban Smith. The 4 projects, Kiama Cave Key Club and Resort, Torch Key, and Samson Key, are collectively valued at just under $700 million. Overseas, the World Economic Forum is back with its first winter meetup since 2020 in the Swiss alpine town of Davos, where leaders are seeking to bridge political divisions in a polarized world, buttress a hobbling economy, and address concerns about climate change. Among many other things, sessions will take up issues as diverse as the future of fertilizers, the role of sports in society, the state of the COVID-19 pandemic, and more. Nearly 600 CEOs and more than 50 heads of state or government are expected, but it's never clear how many concrete action emerges from the elite event. Back in the snows for the first time since the pandemic, and just 8 months after a springtime 2022 session, the event will the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, the U.S. climate envoy John Kerry, and the new presidents of South Korea, Colombia, and the Philippines. The Chinese vice premier will address the gathering Tuesday, a day before his first meeting with his U.S. counterpart, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Yellen will apparently skip Davos. In your market watch, recapping trading on the BISX. From Friday, your market movers, Consolidated Water, down 3 cents, closing at $2.90. Emira Incorporated up 9 cents, closing at $9.70. The BISX All Share Index closing at 2,645.68, up 0.04. Recapping the week. The local market ended the week with 16,000 shares crossing the exchange, with 3 trades accumulating a value of $74,410. The BISX All Share Index gained 0.27 points, or 0.01%. Year to date, the index is up 0.78 points or 0.0. Value leader, Commonwealth Bank, moving 14,000 shares in one trade with a value of $50,120. That's your Market Watch. And that is your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. And tune in tonight for CFAL Talks. The topic, the fall of FTX and the impact it will have on the Bahamian economy. That's at 6:30 p.m. right here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Nassau's gone funky. Nassau's gone soul. We've got a doggone beat now. We're gonna call our very own. Nassau rock and Nassau roll. Nassau's got a whole lot of soul. Feel alright. Mini skirts, maxi skirts. People doing their own thing. Don't care about me or you.
We're back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. We're talking about downtown Nassau and what to do. Are we capitalizing off the huge numbers of people who are visiting through the cruise port? 157,000 visitors so far since the year began, and a one-day record set last week. I wonder if that was the day when I saw them, Tuesday, or was it Friday, like when you saw them? But anyway, they had a good week last week, absolutely. All right, so we were talking about downtown and how it is challenging with what we're working with to provide something for the visitors to do. And, well, Bahamians don't want to go down there unless they have to. So imagine the tourists, right?
Well, the thing is, I think what needs to happen in our country is we need to build attractions that Bahamians will enjoy.
Absolutely.
And the tourists will follow.
That's how it works in every major city in the world.
Right?
Right? Tourists don't want to go where it's only for tourists, and this is
because in those off seasons, it's going to be us.
Yeah. And also, it's inauthentic. Nobody wants this. Why did you do this? This isn't what Bahamians do. I want to go where the Bahamians go. Or what Bahamians like. I want to see. I want to experience it.
And what the Nassau Cruise Port is doing is building such an attraction because it's going to be open to anyone. It's not, normally you would find your ports like they're closed off.
Yeah.
Right? But the port area is going to be open for anyone who wants to visit the stores, the vendors, or whatever they're offering.
Yeah.
To do so freely. So they obviously are building attractions for Bahamians that the tourists would also enjoy.
So I've been saying it this today, and I've been saying for a while now that we aren't going to see the changes we want to see if we wait for central government to do it. And that often these types of changes are spurred on by local governments. So you have a city council, you have a mayor who will decide this is what we're going to do, this is the vision for the city, and this is what you've elected me, give me my 5-10 years, whatever it is. And if you don't like me, kick me out, that kind of thing. Until we see that many of the things we've been calling for, a vibrant downtown, public transportation that makes sense, we aren't going to see it. Central government just doesn't get it, don't care, clueless, whatever you want to say, right? Anyway, so Stephen Hanna is sending us this message. This was from July of 2021, but something from the United Kingdom and what they were thinking. It was a press release from the UK government, right? Government strategy to regenerate high streets. No, we don't use these British terms, but that's,
downtown.
Downtown has a big street or something. So, but they were coming up with a strategy, new high street strategy to transform town centers into vibrant places to live, work, and visit, derelict buildings to be transformed, streets to be cleaned up, and communities across the UK given the chance to own their local pubs, theaters, sports grounds, and corner shops. These are all the things we were saying earlier today. The government's long-term plan to support the evolution and regeneration of high streets has been launched today. This was back in July. I don't know. They've had, 25 prime ministers since 2021. I don't know if this got lost in the shuffle, but this was the plan. Okay. But so the high street strategy is a key part of the Prime Minister's plan to level up and will deliver visible changes to local areas and communities across England, transforming derelict buildings, cleaning up our streets, and supporting a renewed sense of community for current and future generations. Councils in England will be given the power to transform towns, taking over derelict buildings through the compulsory purchase orders so they can be converted into new homes if property owners stall on regeneration plans. Councils will also be encouraged to use existing powers to convert this into housing, and empty shops will be transformed into entertainment venues or thriving new businesses without the need for planning permission. Local economies and plans for growth will be boosted with 15 town deals. Okay, we don't get into all that. Anyway, they say a sense of community is at the heart of the strategy, ensuring that local areas are protected for current and future generations to enjoy.
Who is articulating this vision or this plan?
They mentioned the Prime Minister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well.
Okay.
And if the Prime Minister doesn't get it, we need to speak so loudly that he does get it, right? A previous Prime Minister kind of suggested they were thinking like this, but let us down in the end by not acting on suggestions that were made just like this. And then you saw what happened to that one.
Mm-hmm.
If this one isn't speaking about it, we need to make sure that he understands that this is what we're expecting of him, and that he needs to act, or else. This is what we can do. You cannot sit around and set the light to have that little light bulb across their head.
I think we are speaking. We are talking. It's up to the powers to be to hear and to do something. Run with the vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we are speaking.
This other part here, the government will work to bring back street parties, is what you were talking about earlier, Pam, making it easier for people to hold celebrations in their neighborhood streets and picnics during national celebrations like the Commonwealth Games. Councils will be invited to plan exciting events for Her Majesty's Jubilee. Okay. Yeah, sure.
She was our Majesty as well.
Yeah, of course, of course. Oh boy. And there's a whole lot of wonderful information on this. This really is what we've been talking about, what is desperately needed. And again, you need the vision from the top, but to empower the people to do these things.
Yes.
And right now we don't have that. And you can't. Unfortunately, you cannot expect that from the Ministry of Tourism or the Ministry of Works or the Ministry of anything. But it'll need to be in the hands of the people, in the form of councils, in the form of mayors, to make this happen. And again, not just downtown Nassau. We need this on every island. Because what is different about Governor's Harbor compared to Marsh Harbor? Seriously, one over the other. If I've been to one, do I need to go to the other? Make it stand out. Right? Why do I need to go to Carmichael? And if I've been to downtown Nassau, why can't there be a real city on Carmichael Road? Right? And I go, well, look, I don't need to go to Nassau because this place is fantastic. Right? I mean, you say that now, but for the wrong reasons. We aren't serious about this.
It will happen with planning, and then taking those plans and actioning those plans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're not even at the planning stage yet. We've been talking, but there's no plan in action. Mm-hmm. And I like that you mentioned with the UK, they acknowledge you have a lot of abandoned buildings. Okay, we're going to give you some time to get these things developed. Right. After that time, we're taking them.
Taking it. That's what we've been saying.
What's the problem? Why are we so afraid to do that with downtown?
I dare you to take it to court. How can a judge say, well, it's their building? What? You ruined our tourism product?
No, because the government has the power of legislation.
And that too.
So they can put that legislation in place and then act upon it.
Yeah. Even better. It's still someone works. If no case. Folks, make your voices heard. Talk about this as often as you can, as frequently as we do on this show, right? To make sure that you are, every time you see an MP or someone who you think is going to run for office at some point, let them know this is our top priority here, right? We want to decentralize a lot of these efforts because clearly it gets clogged up with the central government. Put the power in the hands of the people.
And I think we have to make persons understand how they will benefit from it.
Yeah.
because that's where the economic growth comes in. That's where the more jobs, the more economic activity, and to improving the average Bahamian's way of life.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, caller, sorry, we're running out of time. We're out of time. We got to go. But hopefully we won't be talking about this for another 50 years, Fab. That would be very, very sad. But thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you, Dwight. Have a blessed week, Bahamas.
And hopefully we will sort things out with Inland Revenue and find out what happened there. And I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Hey, stay warm out there. Block next.
A whole lot of soda. Feel alright. Mini skirts, maxi skirts, and afro hairdo. People doing their own thing, don't care about me or you. Nassau's gone funk. Nassau's got soul now.